right here. Is it Raphael Torres? All right, got it.
Put your hands down. Put your hands down.
Sí.
Interpreter, can you inquire if Jose Martinez can hear you?
Your Honor, I just did, and he's indicating that he can hear me.
Okay, go ahead and state your name for the record, Mr. Martinez.
José Martínez.
Jose Martinez.
I'm going to go ahead and appoint the Public Defender's Office to represent you. Who's here for the defense?
Kinsey Johnston for the defense.
Who's the state?
Chad Frost, the state.
What says counsel for the defense?
Defense would be requesting ROR in this case due to the nature of the charges. It's just a driving while license suspended charge. Although it did come in as a felony, it seems it's still a relatively minor traffic charge. And with all the increasing cases daily at the jail, we would just request ROR in this case.
What says the state?
I believe the state, is this the one I agree?
This is Jose Martinez.
Jose Martinez.
Yeah, sorry, it's another one. State is driving my license suspended third time. State would just, would agree to lowering the bond
He qualifies for PTR.
or PTR.
Full PTR.
I'll do PTR.
Any conditions, Judge?
No. All right, Rafael Torres is next. For Mr. Torres,
No. I'm just like, you know.
so later on?
Yeah, but it's better.
Can the interpreter inquire if Mr. Torres can hear the interpreter?
Sí.
Your Honor, he's indicating that he can hear me.
Okay, great. Go ahead and state your name for the record, please.
Rafael Torres.
Rafael Torres.
I'm going to go ahead and appoint the Public Defender's Office to represent you. Who's here for the defense?
Kinsey Johnston for the defense.
Who's here for the state?
Chad Frost, the state.
Do we have any victims here in regards to the Torres case?
You should, Your Honor, but they should be over there in courtroom one with you.
Go ahead and state your name for the record, please.
Excuse me?
Are you for the Rafael Torres case?
Yes, ma'am.
Go ahead and state your name for the record, please.
I don't hear you.
She needs an interpreter, Your Honor.
I believe the alleged victim needs an interpreter.
Señora, diga su nombre, por favor.
Araceli Torres.
Aracelis Torres.
She needs to be sworn in.
Levanta la mano derecha, señora, para prestar juramento.
Do you solemnly swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
¿Jura solemnemente decir la verdad, toda la verdad y nada más que la verdad?
Sí.
Yes.
Thank you. Is there something you wanted to tell the court?
¿Hay algo que usted quiera decirle a la jueza, señora?
Sí.
Yes.
What did you want to tell the court?
¿Qué quería decir?
Yo quería decirle relacionado a Rafael, ¿puedo decirle lo que pasó o qué es lo que puedo hablar?
Well, I wanted to tell you something related to Rafael. Can I tell you what happened? What exactly can I say?
You can tell the court anything you want me to know.
Señora, ¿le puede explicar a la jueza lo que usted quiere que ella sepa?
Yo quiero que sepa que él está tomando mucho y siempre que viene a la casa borracho está muy agresivo. Mis hijos, cuando están mis hijos en la casa, pues ellos me ayudan a veces a calmarlo.
Just give the interpreter a chance to interpret.
Well, I wanted her to know that he has been drinking a lot lately, and when he gets home drunk, he acts very aggressively, and when my children are home, they help me calm him down.
Pero cuando mis hijos no están, él se aprovecha más a insultarme. Es más el maltrato, acusándome de cosas que no existen, maltratándome, maldiciéndome, sacando la familia, cosas que nunca existen. Él ayer me dio una cachetada en sí no fue tan dura la cachetada, me ardía la cara, pero más el abuso viene siendo verbal.
Okay, wait, allow the interpreter to interpret.
Señora, le tiene que permitir al intérprete interpretar. Tiene que
Ok.
detenerse de vez en
Ay,
cuando.
perdón, se me olvidaba.
But when my children are not home, he takes advantage of that and he insults me even more. He mistreats me, insulting me, saying ugly things to me and things about the family, things that are not true. He slapped me in the face and I felt a burning sensation, but it's not so much the physical abuse as it is for the verbal abuse.
Are you in fear for your safety, ma'am?
Señora, ¿usted teme por su seguridad?
Claro que sí, incluso él ha amenazado a mis hijos de que están a contra de él por estar a mi lado y que él tiene armas en la casa y siempre que anda tan agresivo dice que él nada más necesita 3 balazos para darle a ellos. Yo sé que cuando él no anda tomado, él no es capaz de hacer esto, pero desafortunadamente él no toma 5 días a la semana y 2 no, a veces 1.
Well, of course I am. He has even threatened my children in an aggressive manner. He has weapons in the house, and he told them at some point that it would take only 3 bullets to take care of the matter. And I know that he would never be able to do this when he's not drinking, but the problem is he's sometimes drinking 5 days a week, and sometimes only 1 day a week he's not drinking.
Any questions from the defense?
No, Your Honor.
Any questions from the state?
No, Your Honor.
¿Preguntas por parte de la defensa o la fiscalía? No.
What says the defense?
Defense just asked that you set bond.
What says the state?
State agrees that he's entitled to a bond. State asks for no contact, no alcohol, no drugs, no weapons, no firearms, no return, and no contact with the victim.
He qualifies for PTR.
¿Qué dice
State
la
would ask for
defensa?
bond, not PTR.
¿Qué dice la defensa? La defensa solicita que se le fije fianza. ¿Qué dice la fiscalía? La fiscalía está de acuerdo en que él tiene derecho a fianza. Sin embargo, se pide que sea prohibición de contacto, prohibición de consumo de alcohol, de drogas, de tenencia de armas de fuego y de regresar al lugar de los hechos. La fiscalía solicita que sea fianza y no el programa de la libertad provisional.
The court's going to order bond at $1,000. Going to find probable cause, no contact with the victim, no return to any of the children as they are witnesses in this regard, no drugs or alcohol, no return to the scene, no weapons or firearms.
Tendré que necesitar una escolta para sacar todas mis cosas. Necesito cuando menos 3 días de escolta para sacar todas mis cosas.
Well, I would need to be accompanied by the authorities so that I can take my things out of the house, and I'm going to need at least 3 days.
Okay. The court is going to allow you, with law enforcement coordination, to go into the residence for one time for 15 minutes to retrieve any personal items that you have. And that must be coordinated through law enforcement. Personal items only.
Claro que sí.
Of course.
All right, thank you. Next up is going to be Brandon Davis.
Ok, gracias.
Okay, thank you.
I think that's it for the interpreter cases, is that right? Madam Interpreter, I think that was the last interpreter case to my knowledge.
Thank you, Your Honor. Have a good morning.
You too. All right. Which case was the case with the private attorney?
Dontarius Moore, Judge.
All right, let's call that one up. We're going to call Dontarius Moore next.
Is it after Davis or before Davis?
It's not in order. We're taking one out of order.
Okay, go ahead, more.
Dontarius Moore. If we have the victim for Dontarius Moore, please approach. You're lucky there was not that many cases today.
A little light.
Yeah. That's not Dantarius Moore. That is Brandon Davis, I believe.
Oh,
Are you
no, that's-
Brandon Davis?
That's Mr. Moore.
Oh, that is Mr. Moore. I'm sorry. I thought that was Brandon Davis, and they were waiting for Mr. Moore. Go ahead and state your name for the record, Mr. Moore.
Yes, my name is Dantarius Moore.
Thank you. Counsel for the defendant? go ahead and
Michael
state your-
Zemieski on behalf of Mr. Moore.
Who's the state?
Chad Frost Estate.
Is the victim present?
Yes.
Go ahead and state your name for the record, please.
Carrie Stewart?
Need to be sworn in. Go ahead and raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth?
Yes.
What did you want to tell the court here today?
I'm sorry?
What did you want to tell the court here today?
Nothing.
Are you afraid of the
No.
defendant?
No.
Do you want to have contact with the defendant?
Yes.
Any questions from the state?
No questions.
Any questions from the defense?
Just one thing. Ms. Stewart, do you have any objection, or are you in fear of Mr. Moore returning to the residence?
No.
Okay. And no one's pressured you, forced you to coerce you to be here today?
No.
Okay. Nothing further, Judge. Judge, we would just ask the court to set a reasonable bond in this matter. The victim is here. She's testified that she's not in fear of Mr. Moore. We would ask the court to modify the no contact to a no hostile contact provision and to allow him to return to the residence. It's my understanding the residence, it's an apartment they shared, is in his name. But based upon her sworn testimony here today, she does not appear to be in fear of him.
What says the state?
State would ask for no contact, but the court is inclined to provide contact, at least provide no hostile contact.
He qualifies for PTR.
The court will just order, I'm going to find probable cause and order bond at $500 with no hostile contact. So, sir, do you understand? You're allowed to have contact, but no hostile contact. Do you understand?
Yes, ma'am.
If there's hostile contact, you're probably going to be right back where you are. Do you understand?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you, Judge. Good to see you.
Thank you.
too. Have a good morning.
You too.
Going to have Brandon Davis next. After that, on deck is going to be Philip Miguel Way. Go ahead and state your name for the record, please.
Brandon Davis.
I'm sorry?
Brandon Davis.
I'm sorry, I still didn't hear that.
Brandon Davis.
Perfect, thank you. I'm going to go ahead and appoint the Public Defender's Office to represent you. Who's here from the defense?
Kinsey Johnston for the defense.
Who's here for the state?
Chad Frost Estate.
What says defense?
Defense just requests that you set reasonable bond.
What says the state?
Your Honor, I appear to be looking at Mr. Davis, and I just want to ask the clerk if this is correct. He was already out on bond on 20 CF 8223.
Yeah, we've got 2020 CF 8385, which is
His new,
violation of a no contact order. Then we have the 20 CF 8395, which is the aggravated stalking, assault, and petty theft.
I believe he was arrested on 7/7/2020 on 20 CF 8223.
Ah, yes, okay.
State would ask that you revoke bond on that case, Your Honor, based upon the new cases. I think they're all tied together. The victims are the same. So state is asking you to revoke bond. That's a charge of tampering with a witness to hinder communication, battery, domestic violence, and assault domestic violence on that case. And then he violated his conditional release or his bond by picking up these new charges. State understands he's due by law to be bonded on the new cases, but would ask that you revoke bond on the previous cases. And on the new cases, ask that no contact, no return.
And what about for the violation of a no contact order?
I believe that's a new case, Your Honor, so I think he is entitled to a bond, but that's why for the new cases. But the old case, his bond should be revoked.
What says defense?
Defense request that you not revoke bond on the other cases and set bond on these cases.
And if I may, Your Honors, the court could look at 20 CF 8223. She'll see that it just recently occurred on 7/7. He was out on bond, and now he's contacting the victim. And this is a situation that's only been a few days, and alleged on the affidavits is pretty serious.
Court's going to revoke the bond on 2020 CF 8223AO. I'm going to set a bond for the aggravated stalking. That's going to be $5,000. Assault's going to be $500. Petty theft's going to be $500. Violation of no contact order, going to be $1,000. Conditions: no contact with the victim, no weapons or firearms, no return to the scene. Next up is going to be Philippe Miguel Way. Next up, after that, is going to be Thomas Spannon. Go ahead and state your name for the record, please.
Felipe Miguel Way.
I'm going to go ahead and appoint the public defender's office to represent you. Who's here for the defense?
Kinsey Johnston for the defense.
Who's here for the state?
Chad Frost will stay.
On behalf of the defense?
Sorry, Your Honor, I'm just trying
It's a
to.
burglary of a structure and trespass on school grounds.
Okay, thank you. Defense just asked that you set bond on these cases.
What says the state?
State asked for bond within the bond schedule.
Order bond count 1, $3,500, bond count 2, $250. Gonna find probable cause. Thomas Spannon is next.
Yes, ma'am.
Go ahead and state your name for the record, please.
My name, Thomas James Fannin.
I'm going to go ahead and appoint the public defender's office to represent you. Counsel for defense, go ahead and state your name for the record, please.
Kinsey Johnston for the
Who's
defense.
the state?
Chad Frost will stay.
What says defense?
Defense is asking for ROR on this case due to the nature of the charges.
What says the state?
What was the charge? I apologize, Your Honor.
Trespass.
State has no objection to ROR.
Court's going to find probable cause in ROR.
What is going on, ma'am? I can't really hear too well. ROR,
You're going to
ma'am?
be released today.
Thank you, ma'am.
You're
Yes,
welcome.
ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
You're welcome. Next up is Adrian Bannister. After that is Billy Kaysen.
Bannister is mental health, Your Honor.
I'll go ahead and appoint the public defender's office to represent Mr. Bannerson. What says defense? Do you waive his appearance?
Yes, I do, Your Honor.
Who's the state?
Chad Frost will stay.
What does defense want to do?
Well, is this the victim here?
For Bannister?
Go ahead and state your name, please.
Sabrina Rivera?
Okay, please raise your right hand.
Yes, ma'am.
Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. What do you want to tell the court here today?
I feel like I overreacted a bit with my anxiety and hormones kind of raging a bit. It's completely out of character for the way he acted. I think I kind of just pushed him into a position that he got upset, and it's really not like him. I don't fear for my life. We lived together. It's been a on and off relationship for about 4 years now, so
Do you fear for the safety of your baby?
no, ma'am.
Do you live together now?
Yes, ma'am.
Anything on behalf of the defense?
Yes, if Mr. Bannister was to return home, would you be afraid?
Not at all. No,
Are
ma'am.
you afraid of having contact with him?
No, ma'am.
That's all from the defense, Your Honor.
What says the state?
State would ask you to provide a bond within the reasonable bond schedule, but ask for no contact. If the court is inclined to provide contact, no hostile contact, no weapons, no firearms.
Court's going to find probable cause. Due to the nature of the allegations, the court's going to order no contact, no return to the scene, no weapons or firearms. And the bond is going to be $1,000.
So does that mean like I would leave the residence because I'm living in his residence?
I can't give you any legal advice, but I can tell you he cannot return to the scene.
Okay.
So he can't go to that residence.
Okay.
might want to speak to the state in regards to any questions that you might have after these hearings are over.
Yes, ma'am, please.
Okay, they might be able to answer some of the questions that you might have.
Yes,
Okay?
ma'am.
All right, thank you. Next up is Billy Kaysen. After that is James Kelly. Go ahead and state your name for the record, please.
Billy Antonio Case.
I want to go ahead and appoint the Public Defender's Office to represent you. Who's here for the defense?
Kinsey Johnston for the defense.
Who's here for the state?
Chad Frost of the state.
All right, we're here for a few cases. What says defense?
Defense just asks that you set bond.
What says the state? We've got a felony battery, a failure to appear, and a VOP.
I believe he's on, the VOP has a bond, stay within the bond schedule. Failure appears no bond, state would ask you to set a reasonable bond. And then the felony battery has a bond to stay within the bond schedule.
All right, the court's going to order the felony battery bond, $3,500, no contact with the victim. The VOP, $5,000, and failure of defendant to appear, $500. I found probable cause.
Oh, can I plead? They said that I was my case was pleaded out. I was in the hospital. They said I pleaded out to time served for the failure to appear. I was in the hospital due to they was checking to make sure I had corona, and my lawyer.
Does the defense have any information on that?
On client having, what was that again?
My lawyer had called me and asked me was I coming to court, but I was in the hospital, and I got the text messages and stuff on my phone. She said they just send the documents. She said I pleaded out to time served on that day. She said she was going to plead out, and she said that the judge had ordered a capias, but she said she was going to come back into the courtroom and try to catch her and try to show her the documents as I was in the hospital, and just pleaded out to time served for the failure to appear.
Okay, so I'll put a note in our system and we'll get that figured out for you for the failure to appear, okay?
Yeah, and my probation.
Someone at the office will be in contact with you this week.
All right.
All right, thank you. Next up is going to be James Kelly. After that is going to be Calvin Myers.
James Kelly is in the hospital, Your Honor.
I'm going to go ahead and appoint the Public Defender's Office to represent him. Does defense waive his appearance?
Yes, Your Honor.
Who's the state?
Chad Frost of the state.
What says defense?
Defense just asks that you set bond.
What says the state?
They would agree to a bond, just that no contact with the victim, no.
All right, the court's going to find probable cause. I'm going to set bond for count 1, 500, count 2, 500, count 3, 500, count 4, 250, count 5, 500. No contact with the victim, no drugs or alcohol, no return to the scene, no weapons or firearms.
Judge, he has an open case that he's out on PTR for.
State have any request for that?
What's the charge on the open case?
Ag assault with a deadly weapon, domestic violence assault, ag assault on a person 65 years or younger.
Based upon the nature
or
of the
older.
charges, they would ask for no bond.
What says defense?
Defense would request that you set bond, not that you revoke bond.
That's for 2000, is it 2020 CF 7524? State, do you know if that's the same victim or not?
No, I don't, Your Honor. If I could get the-
This is for Kelly, Your Honor?
Yes, James Kelly,
What's the case number?
2020 CF 7524.
The victim on that case is Lynn Chamberlain, the wife.
Same victim on this case. What says the state?
They would ask you to revoke bond, Your Honor.
All right, the court's going to revoke bond. Next up is Calvin Myers. After that is going to be Quentin Pendleton. Go ahead and state your name for the record, please.
Calvin Myers.
I'm going to go ahead and appoint the Public Defender's Office to represent you. Who's here on behalf of the defense?
Kinsey Johnston for the defense.
Who's the state?
Chad Frost of the state.
What says defense?
Defense just requests that you set bond, Your Honor.
We've got a battery and a battery by strangulation. What says the state?
These are both new cases, no prior cases, Your Honor, just confirm.
I've got 2020-216-712 and 2020-216. Oh, wait.
I only have 5069, Your Honor, that's what I was.
They appear to be the same. I'm looking at the facts behind both of them, and they look exactly the same.
I have two different cases.
What are your case numbers?
I have 2020 MM 005069 and then 2020 CF 008396. The 96 is the battery by strangulation.
They would agree that their new charges is
Oh, I
entitled.
got it. I'm sorry. Yes, I see that now. Okay, go ahead.
They would agree that he's entitled to a bond. No contact, no return.
All right, the state's gonna, I'm sorry, the court's gonna set the battery bond at $500, no contact with the victim, no return to the scene, no use of firearms, and battery by strangulation. Bond is gonna be $1,000, no contact with victim, no return to the scene, no weapons or firearms. Find probable cause for both. Next up is gonna be Quentin Pendleton. After that, it's Christian Rosario. Go ahead and state your name for the record, please.
Yes, ma'am. Quentin Eugene Pendleton, ma'am.
Okay, thank you. I'm going to go ahead and appoint the Public Defender's Office to represent you. Who's here for the defense?
Kinsey Johnston for the
Who's
defense.
here for the state?
Chad Frost, the state.
What says defense?
Defense just ask that you set bond for these cases.
What says the state?
State asked for bond, but no contact, no return, no weapons, no firearms.
All right, court's going to set bond. Count 1. It's going to be $2,500. Count 2, $2,500. Count 3, $500. No contact with victim. No return to the scene. No weapons or firearms.
Excuse me, Judge. I don't understand. I was here yesterday for the same things, and they made my bond 500, 500, and 500, and this is the same thing. I don't
Is it a
understand.
different case?
It's a different case.
This is a different case, sir.
The add-on charges. Yesterday he came for 3 different charges, which was tampering with witness, battery, dating violence, and criminal mischief.
Those were separate cases. That was a separate case and separate charge.
Okay, what is these cases what we just read just then? What's these for again, ma'am?
This is robbery, sudden snatching, burglary of an occupied dwelling with assault or battery therein, and battery, dating violence.
Okay, I didn't know none of these. Okay.
You can ask your attorney any all questions that you might have.
Okay.
I've appointed the
Okay.
Public Defender's Office to represent you, okay?
Okay, thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, sir. All right, next up is going to be Christian Rosario. After that, Jeff Sobalvaro. Go ahead and state your name for the record, please. I'm sorry, I can't hear you.
Sorry, what was that?
Go ahead and state your name for the record, please.
Oh, hello. I'm Christian Jomil Rosario.
Thank you. I'm going to go ahead and appoint the Public Defender's Office to represent you. Who's here for the defense?
Kinsey Johnston for the defense.
Who's here for the state?
Chad Frost, the state.
What says defense?
Defense just ask that you set reasonable bond, Your Honor.
What says the state?
State agrees he's entitled to a bond.
Right,
No
court.
contact with victim, no return, no weapons, no firearms.
Court's going to set bond count 1, 500, count 2, 500, no contact with the victim, no return to the scene, no alcohol or drugs, and no weapons or firearms.
I'll try to tell you, Your Honor, he
Thank
did
you, Your
qualify
Honor.
for PTR.
What says the state in regards to possible PTR?
Not with these charges.
Okay. Nope.
You sticking with bond?
I'm sorry?
You sticking with bond?
Stigma with bond, yes. Go ahead and state your name for the record, please, Mr. Sobalvario.
Jeff Sobavero.
I'm going to go ahead and appoint the Public Defender's Office to represent you. Who's here for the defense?
Kinsey Johnston for the defense.
Who's here for the state?
Chad Frost, the state.
All right. What says defense?
I believe that this client qualifies for PTR, so defense would be requesting that.
What says the state?
I just need to know the charges, Your Honor.
Charges aggravated battery on a pregnant person. Domestic violence.
State would agree that he's entitled to a bond, would object to PTR. No return, no hostile, no contact with the victim, no weapons, no firearms.
Court's going to find probable cause. Order bond in the amount of $1,000. No contact with the victim. No return to the scene. No weapons or firearms. Next up is going to be Dave Anya Colon. Go ahead and state your name for the record, please.
Dave Patrick and I clone.
I'm going to go ahead and appoint the Public Defender's Office to represent you. Who's here for the defense?
Kinsey Johnston for the defense.
Who's here for the state?
Chad Frost, the state.
What says the defense?
Defense just requests that you set reasonable bond on this case.
What says the state?
Agree to bond, no hostile, no contact, no weapons, no firearms.
Court's going to find probable cause, order $500 bond count 1, $500 count 2, no contact with the victims, no return to the scene, no weapons or firearms.
Your Honor, is that a $100 bond in, 10% of that?
$500 for count 1, $500 for count 2.
All right.
Thank you. Next up, Timothy Bryant. Go ahead and state your name for the record, please.
Timothy Mark Bryant Jr.
I'm going to go ahead and appoint the Public Defender's Office to represent you. Who's here on behalf of the defense?
Kinsey Johnston for the defense.
Who's here for the state?
Chad Frost, the state.
I believe we have someone here as well. Go ahead and state your name for the record, please.
Lacey Helton.
Go ahead and raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth?
Yes.
Okay. What's your name, please?
Lacey Helton.
Is there something that you would like to tell the court?
I just want my husband home. I'm not in any fear of him. It was just a big misunderstanding, but I'm definitely not in any fear at all of him, and I need him home. He's not a violent person. He's not a hostile person at all.
What says the defense? Any questions for the witness?
Miss Halton, is that?
Helton.
Helton. Are you afraid of your husband?
No.
If he was to return home, would you be afraid of him? Would you feel comfortable?
Oh, I feel very comfortable.
That's all, Your Honor.
Does the state have any questions of the witness?
No questions.
He qualifies for PTR.
What says defense?
Your Honor, since defense would ask for PTR and allow contact with the victim, since she's here today testifying that she's not afraid of him and wants him to return home.
What says the state?
State would ask for bond, no contact. If the court is inclined to provide give contact, no hostile contact, no weapons, no firearms.
I'll do PTR, no hostile contact, no weapons or firearms. Sir, that means no hostile contact. If there
Okay.
is any hostile contact, you'll be right back where you are. Do you understand?
Yes, I do.
Okay.
Does that mean no bond? Like, he doesn't have to pay a bond?
He's going to get on PTR.
Okay, thank you so much.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Go ahead and state your name for the record, please.
My name is Andrew Warren Gorski.
I'm sorry, can you say that again?
Andrew Warren Gorski.
Thank you. I'm going to go ahead and appoint the Public Defender's Office to represent you. Who's here for the defense?
Kinsey Johnston for the defense.
Who's here for the state?
Chad Frost, the state.
Who do we have as a witness?
Adriana Volpe.
Go ahead and raise your right hand, please. Do you solemnly swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
Okay. Is there something you wanted the court to know?
Yes, I want to let you guys know that my husband takes medicines, okay, and he is mixing the medicines with alcohol. That is what makes him so aggressive, so paranoid sometimes. Sometimes even he don't remember the things that he do, okay, and I've been suffering verbal attacks since the last 3 months. And it's getting even worse. Until last night, I had a first physical attack from him, and he was acting really aggressive, and that got me so nervous. And my daughter was present. She was awake. I'm not afraid of him, but I do feel uncomfortable, and I do believe that if he get the help that he need, he will be fine, because when he is with no alcohol in his system. He can be a really nice man, a really caring man. But when he started drinking, and that is something that is been happening a lot in the last months, his behavior changed in a big way, making me feel insecure around him and making me feel really nervous having him around my daughters that are small. Okay. I just want to let you know that I don't want to have any contact with him right now, and that I open to receive him in home once he receive and he accept the help that he needed.
Thank you for telling that to the court. Does the defense have any questions based upon what is
No,
stated?
Your Honor.
Say any questions?
No question.
He qualified for PTR.
What says defense in regards to this case?
Defense would ask for PTR, and if not, that you set a reasonable bond.
What says the state?
They would ask for bond, no contact, no weapons, no firearms, no return to the scene, no contact with the children either. If the court is inclined to provide PTR, the state would ask that you, as a condition of PTR, if it's possible, that he random urinalysis.
All right, the court's going to set a bond, I want to find probable cause, set a bond at $500, no contact with the victim, no contact with the children, no alcohol or drugs, no return to the scene, no weapons or firearms, no drugs or alcohol. All right, thank you, sir. Next up is Natalie McDonald. Go ahead and state your name for the record, please.
Hi, my name is Natalie McDonald.
I'm going to go ahead and appoint the Public Defender's Office to represent you. Who's here for the defense?
Kinsey Johnston for the defense.
Who's here for the state?
Jeff Ross, the state.
Do we have a witness here?
Yes, Denise Gaynor.
Go ahead and raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank
Yes.
you. What's your name?
Denise Gaynor.
Okay. What did you want to tell the court today?
I just don't want any contact with my sister right now. I'm not afraid of her, but I don't feel comfortable around her. She has anger issues, and she lets them get the best of her. I just want her to get the help that she needs. We live together. We just signed a lease together, but I don't want to be around her right now.
Any questions from the defense based upon the statement?
No, Your Honor.
From the state? What says defense?
Defense, I believe she qualifies for PTR. Defense would request PTR in this case. If not, then a reasonable bond.
What says the state?
They would ask for a reasonable bond, no contact, no weapons, no firearms, no return, no drugs, no alcohol.
All right, the court's going to find probable cause, set bond at $500, no contact with victim, no return to scene, no drugs or alcohol, no weapons or firearms. Next up is Christian Rodriguez Robles. After that is going to be Saul
Excuse me,
Space.
ma'am. Is it okay if I speak also?
Well, your
no.
attorney is present. I'm going to ask your attorney, what is your advice to your client right now?
I understand the desire to want to say something. I know this is all very confusing and scary, but you have been appointed the Public Defender's Office. You have an attorney who will be in contact with you first thing tomorrow. So just wait to say anything until you talk with your attorney.
Well, would I be able to go home today and go grab my
If
things?
you can pay bond, if you can get bond, then yes, you can go home today.
Okay, thank you.
Well, remember, there's no return to the scene.
Well, am I going to be able to go and grab my things?
You can have 15 minutes coordinated with law enforcement to get your personal items.
Okay. And how long exactly would this time be? Because I do pay rent for that apartment. So I want her
That's
to...
a question, that's a question for your attorney.
You can talk with, you'll have an attorney tomorrow and you can ask them all the details for those. You can ask them all the details and they can help you out with all of that stuff, finding a place to live and everything, okay?
Okay, but I also need to let my sister know that I will be breaking the lease tomorrow also. So we are both moving out of that apartment. That's all.
Okay,
Next up is Christian Rodriguez Robles.
He's medical, Your Honor.
I'm going to go ahead and appoint the Public Defender's Office to represent him. Who's here for the defense?
Kinsey Johnston for the defense.
Do you waive his appearance?
Yes, I do, Your
Who's
Honor.
here for the state?
Jeff Ross, the state.
What says defense?
Defense asks that you set reasonable bond.
I apologize to court. What's the case number on this new case?
Well, we've got 20 MM 5076, which is a violation of condition of pretrial release.
Yes. I would ask you to revoke the pretrial release on 20 CF 8261. And I guess he's entitled to new bond on the pretrial release violation, but revoke the bond on the previous one, revoke PTR.
Court's going to find probable cause to set a bond for 20 MM 5076 at $500, but I'm going to revoke the bond on 2020 CF 8261. I'm sorry? Any conditions, state?
Oh, no,
Strangulation?
yeah, no contact with the victim, no return to the scene, no weapons, no alcohol. That's it.
All right, I'll go ahead and order that.
No firearms.
And no weapons or firearms. Next up is going to be Saul Spade. Go ahead and state your name for the record, please.
Saul Spade.
Going to go ahead and appoint the public defender's office to represent you. Who's here for the defense?
Kinsey Johnston for the
Who's
defense.
here for the state?
Jeff Ross, the state.
What says defense?
Defense just requests that you set reasonable bond, Your Honor.
What says the state?
Yeah, same, Your Honor, no contact with the victim, no return, no weapons, no firearms.
Court's going to find probable cause, set bond at $500, no contact with victim, no return to the scene, no weapons or firearms. Next up is going to be Jose Berdicia. I'm not sure how to pronounce that.
He refused, Your Honor.
He's what?
Refused.
He refused. I'm going to go ahead and appoint the public defender's office to represent him. Who's here on behalf of the defense?
Kinsey Johnston for the
Who's
defense.
here for the state?
Jeff Ross, the state.
What says defense?
Your Honor, I believe this client qualifies for PTR, so defense will be requesting that. If not, then set reasonable bond.
What says the state?
Apologies, court. What's the charges?
We got two different cases. One is possession of methamphetamines, and the other is grand theft third-degree motor vehicle.
Just ask for reasonable bond, Your Honor.
Okay, I'll find probable cause and set bond on both cases, $2,500 for each. So $2,500 for the possession, $2,500 for the grand theft third degree. Next up is Jessica Haar. Go ahead and state your name for the record, please.
Jessica Haar.
I'm going to go ahead and appoint the public defender's office to represent you. Who's here for the defense?
Kinsey Johnston for the
Who's
defense.
here for the state?
Jeff Ross, the state.
What says defense?
Defense just asks that you set reasonable bond.
State would ask you set reasonable bond. Current bond on failure to appear is $1,500. Would ask for it to stay the same.
I'm sorry, did you?
On car?
Okay, we've got a failure to appear, and we've also got the possession of cocaine. So
Yeah. I just asked the bond on the failure to appear stay the same.
Are these two separate failure to appears that I have? Just want to make sure.
Yes,
2019, okay, they are two separate?
yes.
All right. So for the failure to appears, I'm going to keep the bond at $1,500 for 2019 MM 6171 or 2019 MM 3335. Keep the bond at $500 for count one and $100 for count two. For the new case, which is the possession of cocaine, I'm going to find probable cause and set bond at $1,000. All right, thank you, ma'am. Next up is going to be Dawn Leach. After that, Jose Ledesma. Go ahead and state your name for the record, please.
Don Leach.
Going to go ahead and appoint the public defender's office to represent you. Who's here for the defense?
Kinsey Johnston for the defense.
Who's here for the state?
State, Jeff Ross, the state.
What says the defense?
Defense just asks that you set reasonable bond.
What says the state?
State just asks you stay within the bond schedule.
All right, for the Duillis, I'm going to set bond at $1,000 for possession. I'm going to find probable cause, and for the other case, I'm going to find probable cause as well. Possession of cocaine, $1,000. Destruction of evidence, $1,000. Resisting without violence, $500. Thank you.
I don't know what you said.
Mr. Ledesma,
Your Honor,
go ahead and state your name for the record, please.
Jose Alberto Ledesma.
I'm going to go ahead and appoint the Public Defender's Office to represent you. Who's here for the defense?
Kinsey Johnston for the defense.
Who's here for the state?
Chad Frost, the state.
What says defense?
Defense just asks that you set reasonable bond.
Well, it looks like we're here for
3 failures to
Dwillis.
appear.
There's a Dwillis and then there's 3 failures to appear.
Yes, so
What says the state?
I believe the failures to appear this year or 2018.
I got 2019 CF 6746.
Okay. State would ask that you take no action on the failure to appear, set no, continue no bond. Believe the case was originally, he was capious in October 14, 2019 on 19 CF 6746. That's why the state's asking for that.
what is the charge for the?
The underlying charges: unlawful use of a false fictitious name for identification, providing false ID to law enforcement, fraudulent use of personal identification information.
Your Honor, defense would just ask that you set bond for the failure to appear cases, that he has a bond for those cases.
State's asking for no bond on these cases, is that correct?
That's because, yes, Your Honor, because of the length of time of the capious. He's capious all the way back in October 14th of 2019, according to my records. So it's been over, what, almost 10 months?
Court's going to find probable cause for the Dwillis, scheduled set a bond for $500. For the failure to appear, no bond. Next up, James Limoges. After that is going to be Mr. Mario Maldonado.
James Limoges, refuse, Your Honor.
Okay, I'm going to go ahead and appoint the Public Defender's Office to represent Mr. Limoges. Who's here for the defense?
Kinsey Johnston for the defense.
Who's here for the state?
Chad Frost, the state.
What says defense?
Defense just asks that you set reasonable bond.
Says the state?
Same, Your Honor.
Okay, person find probable cause, set bond at $1,000. Next up is Mr. Mario Maldonado. Go ahead and state your name for the record, please.
Mario Manuel Marrero Maldonado.
Okay, I'm going to go ahead and appoint the Public Defender's Office to represent you. Who's here for the defense?
Kinsey Johnston for the
Who's
defense.
here for the state?
Chad Frost, the state.
I'm sorry. I thought I had an attorney that was supposed to be conferencing in. Is that not the case?
What's the name of your attorney?
She's talking to you.
Oh, I don't have the name off my hand. It was a family member that set it up. He called in.
We'll find out. We'll find out. I'm not going to appoint the Public Defender's Office if private counsel has been retained.
Well, if they're not present, I would just.
They're conferencing in. I don't see merge, I see add. I don't see merge. What's the attorney's name?
Hello?
Brussels? Attorney Brussels?
Hi, how's it going?
He's not talking to you.
Good, Judge. Good morning.
Good morning, is this Attorney
Cassells?
Cassells?
Yes.
Okay, thank you for appearing here today. Just to let you know, your client is present. He's currently incarcerated, and the state is here as well.
What was that last part?
The state is here as well.
Oh, okay. Thank you. Thank you.
Okay?
No, I was able to gather from the clerk screen that it looks like he has bond on all charges except for one. Is that correct?
I'm looking.
The trafficking.
I see bond on all cases, on all counts except for the trafficking and oxycodone.
So I wouldn't want to disturb those, the charges on those. I think they're actually pretty low as well. Unless you wanted
I
to.
agree. I was surprised whenever I saw the bond amount.
it makes it a little difficult for my bondsman, a little more work, but I'm inclined not to do anything with those unless you wanted to establish bond on that last charge and make the other ones OR. But I wanted to see if we could establish bond on the trafficking charge.
What says the state?
State would ask for bond of $50,000 on the trafficking charge. I believe that's within the bond schedule. That's the standard amount for trafficking.
What says counsel for defense?
We were looking for a bond closer to 15. I don't know what it is in Orange County, but where I'm more familiar in practicing, I think the bond per schedule is 15. And if you want to hear from my client directly, he could talk about his work and his ties to the community, and that he's not a flight risk or a danger to the community.
Well, my concern is there's a lot of counts here.
Right, I saw
Not
that.
only is it a lot of counts, it's a lot of different drugs as well. So
I saw that.
here's what the court's going to do. The court's going to find probable cause. I'm going to keep the bond amounts on all the cases except for the trafficking. And for the trafficking, I'm going to set the bond at $30,000.
Okay.
That's better.
All right,
That's better than no bond, but that's the best this court can do.
I hear you. Do you need my BARD number to have all my other information?
Do you need his information?
Or I can just file my notice later.
Wait, just go ahead and state your name for the record. I'm sorry, spell it for the record, please.
Sure, it's Cassell, C-A-S-A-L-S, first name David.
Okay, we've got you in there.
All right, have a great day. Thank you for letting me appear by phone.
All right, you're welcome. Have a good morning.
Bye-bye.
All right, next up is going to be Calvin Massaline. Go ahead and state your name for the record, please.
Calvin Jerome Massaline.
Okay, go ahead and appoint the public defender's office to represent you. Who's here for the defense?
Kinsey Johnston for the defense.
Who's here for the state?
Chad Frost will stay.
What says defense?
Defense asks that you set reasonable bond for these charges.
What says defense?
You'd say, sorry, Your Honor.
This is the burglary of a dwelling with a mask, criminal mischief, and resisting without.
I believe the burg dwelling is a PBL for the mask. So we asked for no bond on that, and bond on the other counts.
Court's going to find probable cause, set bond for the criminal mischief at 500, bond for the resisting without violence at 500. For the burglary of a dwelling while wearing a mask, I'm going to set bond at 20,000. Next up is going to be Jimmy Rowe.
Jimmy Rowe, refuse, Your Honor.
I'm going to go ahead and appoint the public defender's office to represent him. Who's here for the defense?
Kinsey Johnston for the
Who's
defense.
here for the state?
Chad Frost will stay.
Do you waive your client's appearance?
I do, Your Honor.
What would you like to do?
Just ask that you set reasonable bond.
What says the state?
I apologize, Your Honor. Do you have this charges?
Pay theft to prior?
I said reasonable bond. I'm
All right. Court's
trying
gonna
to
set
keep
bond.
up, Your Honor. I apologize.
Court's going to set, I'm going to find probable cause to set a bond at $1,000.
There we go.
Next up is going to be Anthony Santiago.
He's medical, Your Honor.
Going to go ahead and appoint the public defender's office to represent you. Who's here for the defense?
Kinsey Johnston for the defense.
Do you waive your client's appearance?
I do, Your Honor.
Who's here for the state?
Chad Frost will stay. Court state which is asked to set reasonable bond.
All right, I'm going to set a bond for the possession of Xanax 1,000, bond for the cannabis $150.
And what about his open cases, Judge?
And there are some open cases. Let's see. 20 mm 1539 DD battery. So we've got a trial coming up on July the 27th at 1:30.
What's the case number?
20 mm 1539. There's also 20 mm 526. And 2019 mm 10216. It's battery DV, violation of injunction, violation of domestic violence, assault, violation of domestic violence injunction. 3 cases.
Your Honor, I mean, I think it's appropriate for the state to ask for no bond, but I recognize that the new charge does not involve the victim, so for the possession of fentanyl.
All right, I'm going to take no action. Next case is Daquan White.
He refused, Your Honor.
I'm going to go ahead and appoint the public defender's office to represent him. Who's here for the defense?
Kinsey Johnston for the defense.
Do you waive your client's appearance?
I do, Your Honor.
Who's here for the state?
Chad Frost will stay.
What does defense want to do?
Defense has nothing to add for this.
What says the state?
State, based on the nature of the charge, would ask for no bond.
Court's going to find probable cause and set no bond. Next case is going to be Daniel Bailey. Go ahead and state your name for the record, please.
Daniel Frederick Bailey.
I'm going to go ahead and appoint the public defender's office to represent you. Who's here for the defense?
Kinsey Johnston for the
Who's
defense.
here for the state?
Chad Frost will stay. Apologize to the court. I only have Gomez, so I don't have the Bailey case.
This is the hit and run, leaving the scene
here it
involving
is.
property damage, moving traffic violation.
your nose.
State would just ask for a reasonable bond.
He qualifies for PTR.
I'll do PTR.
Any conditions?
Any conditions, state?
No return, no contact with the victim.
No return to scene, no contact with victim. Next up is going to be Juan Rodriguez. Do we have Mr. Rodriguez?
Refused, Your Honor.
Going to go ahead and appoint the public defender's office to represent him. Who's here for the defense?
Kinsey Johnston for the defense.
Do you waive your client's appearance?
I do.
Who's here for the state?
Chad Frost will stay.
What says defense?
Defense just asks that you set reasonable bond.
Says the state.
Concur.
Okay, court's going to find probable cause, set bond at $500.
He has open cases, Judge.
No action taken. Next up is David Anderson. Go ahead and state your name for the record, please.
David Anderson.
We'll go ahead and appoint the public defender's office to represent you. Who's here for the defense?
Kinsey Johnston for the
Who's
defense.
here for the state?
Chad Frost will stay.
What says defense?
Your Honor, due to the nature of the charges, defense is requesting ROR on this case.
State
It's
has
a,
no objection.
Okay, ROR. Court's going to find probable cause in ROR.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Next up, Mark Baker.
His behavior, Your Honor.
Going to go ahead and appoint the public defender's office to represent him. Who's here for the defense?
Kinsey Johnston for the
Do
defense.
you waive your client's appearance?
I do, Your Honor.
Who's here for the state?
Chad Frost will stay. State will stay silent on the issue of ROR.
Okay, what says defense?
Defense asked for ROR on this case due to the nature of the charges. It's just a trespass and possession of drug paraphernalia.
Calling it pretty quick.
Good morning. This is Dalia Romero, Spanish interpreter again.
Good morning. Our first 2 cases in Orange need a Spanish interpreter to call you back.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Can you hear us in Orange County?
Yes, Your Honor. We can hear you.
Thank you. Okay, the first up is going to be Joaquin Encarnacion.
Okay, just give us one moment. We're getting them now.
Thank you.
Is that a DV case, Your Honor, or no?
Yes. The first case is going to be Joaquin Encarnacion. The next case on deck is going to be Santos Tobar Montefar.
What's the last name on the first one, Your Honor?
The first one's last name is Encarnacion. It's Joaquin Encarnacion. And the next one is going to be Santos Tabora Montefar.
Starts with a C then?
Starts with the E. The first one?
The first one starts with E. Starts with E.
E?
E-N-C-A-R-N-A-C-I-O-N.
It's a regular, it's a misdemeanor pliable.
Yes, it's not DV.
It'll be at the end of your stack.
What's that? It'll be at the end.
Towards the bottom.
Ours is in the same order as his.
Well, we have this list, which it should have got it in the order, actually. But we have a legal list and we have two Spanish interpreters.
Ah.
So we pull them out of order.
Yes, yes, that makes sense.
It's correct. I just follow.
There's a case number, if that would be more easy.
No, they don't. This, I have to go through everything.
Sorry about that.
I think they put the plea misdemeanors at the
Oh,
bottom.
oh. Just two?
We can make a copy for him, maybe that would be faster.
I'm doing it now.
We're just gonna make you a copy.
I need the affidavit. You want to wait for the affidavit, ma'am?
Thank you.
Thank you.
What's the first two charges with?
Pardon?
What are the first two charges with?
Encarnacion is battery. And yes, there's a, gosh, oh, she needs someone. And Santos,
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, does everybody have all the documents? Need a copy as well?
no, I have a copy.
All right, we're gonna go ahead and call the case up. Go ahead and state your name for the record, Mr. Encarnacion.
Uh-huh.
Can the interpreter hear us?
I can hear yes, Your Honor, I can hear you.
Can
Let
you
me try
hear Mr.
dialing again.
Can you hear
No, I
Mr.
cannot hear
Encarnacion?
him. I think it's the headset. Might be the headset.
Go ahead, Your Honor.
Señor Encarnación, por favor, díganos su nombre completo.
Joaquín Encarnación Fortuna.
Joaquín Encarnación Fortuna.
Yeah.
I'm going to go ahead and appoint the Public Defender's Office to represent you. Go ahead and state your name for the record. Defense Counsel?
Kinsey Johnston with the Public Defender's Office.
And who's the state?
Sheriff Frost will stay.
What says counsel for the defense?
I do not have a PC challenge on this. My only request would be that client is, we would ask for a release on recognizance. This is listed on the pleables for misdemeanor. I don't think pleading today is the best option since I'm unable to discuss it with client. But because it's considered minor enough that it's on the pleable list, we would ask that he can be released on his own recognizance.
What says the state?
A state wouldn't, I mean, because it's battery, I don't know that's on the pleables list matters. Because of Marcy's law, we wouldn't be able to plead it out without victim input. State would just ask for keep the bond and that the no contact with the victim.
Court's going to find probable cause, set bonding on to $250, no contact with victim.
Se le da una fianza de $250, señor, pero no puede tener ningún tipo de contacto con la víctima. Okay.
Next up is Santos Tabador Montefor, and after that is Orlessa Dixon. Go ahead and state your name for the record, please.
Diga su nombre para las actas, por favor, señor. Señor Santos Tabora.
Sí, dígame.
Su nombre completo, por favor.
Santos Tabora Montúfar.
Santos Tabora Montúfar.
I'm going to go ahead and appoint the Public Defender's Office to represent you. Go ahead and
Se
state
le
your name for the
designa al
record.
defensor público para que les represente.
Counsel for defense.
Kinsey Johnston for the defense. I would also request that client be released on his own recognizance for this case. It's very minor petty theft at Walmart, only is alleged to have taken a few items, and I believe it's eligible for pleables as well. So we would ask that he be released on his own recognizance.
La abogada de la defensa está pidiendo que se le permita salir bajo palabra, dado que es un hurto menor, un crimen mínimo de la tienda Walmart. Por lo tanto, está pidiendo que le permitan salir bajo palabra.
What says the state?
State recognizes this as pleadable defense normally, but, and I'll even recognize the defendant's accused of stealing $53.48, including avocados. I mean, so that's food. But I will make the court aware that the defendant does have 2 out-of-county convictions out of Arkansas and Texas, it appears right now. So I'll leave that to the court.
Court's going to find probable cause, set bond the amount of $250, no return to the scene.
La jueza, ya que hay causas que respaldan la acusación, se le designa una fianza de $250, pero no puede regresar al lugar de los hechos.
Okay.
Next up is Orlesa Dixon, and then after that, we have Ty E. Oliver. They don't need interpreters, is that correct? We don't need interpreters for these next few cases, so we'll call you back if we need you.
Is that
No, she can.
Can you find out if there's any victims who need the Spanish interpreter?
¿Hay alguna víctima que esté presente que vaya a necesitar los servicios del intérprete? ¿Alguien aquí en la audiencia que vaya a necesitar intérprete? Levanten su mano.
I'm not seeing anyone raise their hands, so they're all shaking their head no. So I think we're good.
Okay. Thank you, Your Honor. Have a great day.
All right, thank you.
You're welcome.
All right, go ahead and state your name for the record, Ms. Dixon.
Orlesa Dixon.
Thank you. I'm going to go ahead and appoint the Public Defender's Office to represent you. Go ahead and state your name for the record, please.
Kinsey Johnston for the defense.
Who's here for the state?
Pat Frost will state.
What says defense?
Just request that you set bond. No PC challenges.
What says the state?
Apologies, Your Honor. It's
Orlesa Dixon,
what's the charge?
petty theft, 2 priors.
No, stay within the bond.
All right. Court's going to find probable cause, set bond at $500, no return to the scene.
Yes, it is.
Thank you. Another case?
It's an open case.
Hold your paperwork. Hold your paperwork. Keep your hands off my podium.
Maybe I don't bond, I don't think I release, some type of release.
Okay.
And the case number is listed.
What's the case number?
Is that number right here?
Yes.
2020 CF 2370.
And it's up to you if you want to take no action or if you want to reverse the bond, set any bond. You just have to let us know what you.
I'm not going to take any action.
Thank you.
All right, next up is going to be Tybree Oliver, and then on deck is going to be Evan Parks. Go ahead and state your name for the record, please.
Tybree Oliver.
And go ahead and appoint the Public Defender's Office to represent you. Who's here on behalf of the defense?
Kinsey Johnston for the defense.
Who's here for the state?
Pat Frost will stay.
What says defense?
Defense just requests, this client, it appears to be, it has no bond. He was booked on a violation of pretrial release, so we just request that he be released on his own recognizance.
What says the state?
Sorry, I just have one other thing to add.
Okay,
The
go ahead.
pretrial release conditions were set, the original charge was just merely a trespass as well, so.
What says the state?
State would ask you to take no action. And leave it up to the trial court.
All right, court's going to,
Well, sorry, Your Honor. Just make sure, on the new case, I'm just talking about the previous case. On the new case, the court, because it is a violation, I believe the defendant is entitled to bond on the new case, but on the prior case, a revoked bond, if there is any.
we only have one case. We just have the violation of condition of pretrial release.
Oh, he's out on bond, okay.
That's all that I have. So I'm going to find probable cause, set a bond for $100. Next up is going to be Evan Parks. After that is going to be Megan Mathis. Go ahead and state your name for the record, please.
Parks.
Thank you. We'll go ahead and appoint the Public Defender's Office to present you. Go ahead and state your name for the record, please.
Kinsey Johnston for the defense.
Who's here for the state?
Chair Frost will stay.
What says defense?
Defense just requests that you set bond, Your Honor.
What says the state?
State would ask you not to set a bond, Your Honor, if he's out on bond. He was out on 2020 CF 8324, possession of firearm by convicted felon.
State's going to find probable cause and set no bond. Next up is going to be Megan Mathis, and on deck is going to be Adrian Jordan. Go ahead and state your name for the record, please.
Megan Matthias.
I'm going to go ahead and appoint the Public Defender's Office to represent you. Go ahead and state your name for the defense.
Kinsey Johnston for the defense.
Who's here for the state?
Chair Frost will stay.
What says defense? Also, do we have a victim present on this case?
Yes.
Oh, thank you. Can she be sworn in? Yes.
I don't know how to use this.
Do you solemnly swear and affirm the testimony you're about to give should be the truth, the whole truth, so help you God?
Yes.
Can you state your name for the record?
Lori Matthias, mother, victim of Megan Matthias.
Thank you. You can go ahead and put your hand down. What says defense?
Does the state have any questions for the victim, or I can go first for asking questions? Okay, sorry. My
Different courtrooms have different procedures. In my courtroom, I always have the defense go first.
Okay,
So I'm
no,
sorry.
that's fine. Last weekend, the judge asked questions from the victim first, and then, so I didn't know, so
I usually
sorry.
ask any follow-up questions if I feel like it's necessary.
Okay. Miss, sorry, what was your last name?
Matthias.
Matthias. Ms. Matthias, are you in fear of Megan? You are?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. That's all the questions I have for now.
Any questions from the state?
Ma'am, do you not want to have contact with her, or you do?
No contact.
Okay, no questions.
I have to come Monday for the restraining order.
That's an injunction. That's a different proceeding, ma'am.
Sorry about that.
No, not a problem. This is a criminal offense. An injunction is a civil proceeding, so that's something different.
Okay.
All right, the court's going to find probable cause, set bond $500, no contact with victim, no return to the scene. No weapons or firearms.
Yes, ma'am. Is that it, ma'am?
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Next case is going to be Adrian Jordan, and on deck is going to be Danica Thomas. Go ahead and state your name for the record, please.
Adrian Maurice Jordan.
And go ahead and appoint the Public Defender's Office to present you. Go ahead and state your name for the defense.
Kinsey Johnston for the defense.
Who's here for the state?
Chair Frost will stay.
What says the defense?
Sorry, I don't believe oh, no, sorry, one moment, Your Honor.
This is the trespassing case?
It is, okay. Yes, Your Honor, the defense only requests that client be released on his own recognizance due to it just being a trespass, a minor charge.
What says the state?
Your Honor, the state would argue that, or understands that circumstances regarding the trespass, but we would ask you to take notice that the defendant previously had a case as early as was just closed out in March of trespass, 2020 MM 118. He was also which he just pled to. He seems to appear significant criminal history, asking you to bond.
I'm going to ROR.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Next up is going to be Danica Thomas. After that is going to be Brian Blake. I think it's Brian Blake. Is it an alias? Is his name Rodney Alvarez or Brian Blake? I have Brian Blake. Brian Blake, okay. Okay, so what we're doing now is Danica Thomas, and what's next? Ryan Blake. No. Yes. Go ahead and state your name for the record, please. Danica Thomas.
Your Honor, we don't have her on our court docket.
You don't have Danica Thomas?
No, ma'am.
They added that case on this morning.
It was an add-on this morning.
The only add-on that I have
Downstairs
is
came up with
for
add-on papers.
Thomas, Brittany Thomas.
What's the booking?
They gave us our copy. I'm not sure what they did with yours.
What's the booking number?
Judge, I'm gonna give you the NA number.
If she give us a moment.
It's
Where's it coming from?
2001-5431. This paperwork says she has a hold. She has a FAD detainer.
I don't have anything for this person.
It was arraigned yesterday on a misdemeanor.
I
Is
don't
that why
know.
there's confusion?
Can we make copies for everybody here?
She can't be gone because she has the add-on bond case.
Yeah, she's out.
They closed it out?
She's released.
I have next
Really?
There's an entry error. There's an entry error for downstairs, so they released it.
They were.
Is she released?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay.
So we don't.
So we don't need to make copies. All right, next up is going to be Brian Blake, and after that is going to be Quentin Pendleton. Go ahead and state your name for the record, please.
Brian Blake.
Okay, I'm going to go ahead and appoint the Public Defender's Office to represent you. Go ahead and state your name for the record, please.
Kinsey Johnston for the defense.
Who's here for the state?
Chad Frost of the state.
And do we have a victim present for this case? Go ahead and state your name for the record, please.
Brandy Wingster?
Can she be sworn in?
Yes, Judge. Do you solemnly swear and affirm the testimony you're about to give should be the truth, the whole truth, so help you God?
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, what says defense?
Defense has no questions.
State, have any questions?
Ma'am, do you want to have contact with the defendant?
Yes.
What kind of contact do you want?
Any type of contact, like with him?
But do you want, we have what's called no hostile contact. That would be that he would not be able to act in any way hostility toward you.
I'm not afraid of him, so I'm fine with contact.
I have no further questions. State does ask for no contact. That's, state does that on every battery case, Your Honor.
What says defense?
Your Honor, if the victim is here and stating that she's not afraid of client and she wants contact, I don't understand why we would order no contact, so defense objects to that.
What are you requesting in regards to bond?
Defense will leave it up to you, Your Honor.
What says the state?
State would ask you to stay within the bond schedule, Your Honor. But again, if you were to ask for no hostile contact, or no contact, but
All right. Court's going to find probable cause. I'm going to set bond at $500 for count one, $500 for count two, no contact with the victim, and no weapons or firearms. Based upon the allegations of the affidavit, they're too serious to change it to a no hostile contact at this time, but defense can always file a motion with the presiding judge. All right, next up is, thank you for appearing here today, Quentin Pendleton, and next would be Herbert Woodard. Go ahead and state your name for the record, please.
Quentin Eugene Pendleton.
Okay, now go ahead and appoint the Public Defender's Office to represent you. Go ahead and state your name for the record, please.
Kinsey Johnston for the defense.
Who's the state?
Chad Frost of the state.
What says defense?
Oh, Your Honor, defense has nothing to say at this time.
What says the state?
I apologize, Your Honor. Trying to find
This is the battery, dating violence, tampering, hindering
Yes.
communication.
Yes, state would ask for no contact.
Um,
Bond be set according to the bond schedule.
All right, court's going to set bond at $500 for count one, $500 for count two, and $500 for count three, for a total of $1,500. No contact with the victim.
Yes,
And no
ma'am.
return, Your Honor.
No return to the scene, no weapons or firearms.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
Thank you. Next up is Herbert Woodard, and on deck is going to be Jamie Ewing. Go ahead and state your name for the record, please.
Herbert Woodard.
Go ahead and appoint the Public Defender's Office to represent you. Who's here on behalf of the defense?
Kinsey Johnston on behalf of the defense.
Who's here for the state?
Chad Frost, behalf of the state.
What says defense?
Your Honor, defense has a PC challenge on this one, on count 1, tampering with witness. I understand the arrest affidavit shows at least probable cause for false imprisonment, resisting, and battery. However, I don't see anything alleged that would amount to tampering with a witness.
Your Honor, clarification, it's not tampering with the witness, it's tampering with witness to hinder communication with law enforcement. In this case, the defendant stopped the victim from trying to call 911.
It says Herbert took the phone away from her.
Yes, so he was trying to prevent her from calling 911. So that would be tampering with the witness to hinder communication. Your Honor, pursuant to the statute, if you want, we can go through the
No,
statute.
the court's going to find probable cause for all 4 counts. I'm going to go ahead and set bond. $500 for count 1, $500 for count 2, $250 for count 3, and $250 for count 4. No contact with the victim, no weapons or firearms. No contact whatsoever with victim. Next up is going to be Jenny Ewing, and on deck is going to be Malik Green. Go ahead and state your name for the record, please.
Jamie Ewing.
Okay, and go ahead and appoint the public defender's office to represent you. Go ahead and state your name for the defense.
Kinsey Johnston for the defense.
Who's here for the state?
Chad Frost of the state.
What says defense?
Your Honor, this arrest affidavit was quite interesting. It appears that my client was the first one to report things to the police and say that she was being attacked. So I'm not exactly sure why she was the one arrested at all. I don't understand why there was probable cause if both of them in the arrest affidavit are said to have possibly hit one another. That could be said to be defense of self. And further, again, I just want to reiterate that she was the one who said she was attacked. And yet she was the one arrested and not the male involved.
What says the state?
May I have one moment, Your Honor? Just review something again. Paragraph 3, Your Honor, she was stated that when she did this, he hit her in the face and she ran to the nearest house
I'm
to
sorry,
ask.
paragraph 3, it starts out, Ewing stated at 1,400 hours. Is that the paragraph you're reading?
Just one moment, Your Honor, I apologize.
So make sure we're on the same paragraph.
Yes, Your Honor, just going through it again.
Okay?
I may have talked too soon. Paragraph 3, Ewing became enraged. He took his hat and portable speaker he was using, and he threw it on the ground. When he went to pick them up, she started screaming. She threw herself on the ground, and then she bit his lip. It looks like, I would ask for just 72 hours for
I'm
clarification.
gonna give you 72 hours.
Reset for Monday?
Yes, please.
Okay, thank you.
Next up is going to be Malik Green, and on deck is
Good morning, Your Honor.
Al Pettino June. Go ahead and state your name for the record, please.
It's Malik Green.
Thank you. I'm going to go ahead and appoint the public defender's office to represent you. Go ahead and state your name for the record, starting with the defense. Counsel.
Kinsey Johnston for the defense.
Who is the state?
Chad Frost of the state.
Do you have a victim here in this case? Go ahead and state your name for the record, please.
Peter Outland.
Can she be sworn in?
Can you raise your right hand? Do you solemnly swear and affirm the testimony you're about to give should be the truth, the whole truth, so help you God?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
You guys put your hand down. What's your name for the record, please?
Tito Atlands.
Okay, thank you. All right, what says defense?
Defense just asked that you set bond and has no questions for the victim.
Does the state have any questions?
State is arguing for no contact, so I don't, no, it's not the state's witness, it's the defense witnesses, if she wants to have the contact.
Ma'am, is there something that you'd like the court to know today?
No. I feel safe. And I do want contact with him.
Judge, you qualify for PTR.
This case qualifies for PTR. What says the state?
State will leave in the determination of the court, however, the state would ask for no hostile contact if you are in contact at all.
I'll release on PTR, no hostile contact with the victim.
But for the record, the state's original was asking for no contact at all, just for the record.
I understand, but based upon the testimony of the victim here, I'll pretrial release with no hostile contact and finding probable cause. Thank you.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Next up is going to be Al Pacino Jr. Go ahead and state your name for the record, please.
Al Pacino Jr.
Okay. I'm going to go ahead and appoint the Public Defender's Office to represent you. Go ahead and state your name for the record, please.
Kinsey Johnston for the defense.
State.
Matt Frost of the state.
Okay, what says defense?
Defense asks that you set bond.
What says the state?
State would ask for no contact, no return, if you provide bond based upon the bond statute.
Court's going to set bond at $500, no contact with victim, no return to the scene, and no weapons or firearms. Next up is James Johnson, and on deck is Myra Lopez. Go ahead and state your name for the record, please. James Johnson is next.
James Johnson.
Thank you. I'm going to go ahead and appoint the Public Defender's Office to represent you. Go ahead and state your name for the record, please. Defense?
Kinsey Johnston for the defense.
Who's here for the state?
Jeff Frost of the state.
What says defense?
Defense asks that you set bond.
What says the state?
State asks for no return, no contact, no firearms or weapons. Bond be set within the bond schedule.
Court's going to find probable cause, set bond at $500, no contact with the victim, no return to the scene, no weapons or firearms.
He did qualify for PTR, Judge. I was trying to get in.
I'll just keep it that way.
What did you say the condition was again?
Reason to return is no weapons or firearms, no return to the scene, no contact with victim.
Okay, thank you.
Go ahead and state your name for the record, please. Mayra Lopez is next. Mayra Lopez. Do we have that person?
Yes, Your Honor. Go on, Lopez.
Next up is going to be Cassandra Moore. Right now, we've got Mayra Lopez. Go ahead and state your name for the record, please.
Myra Lopez.
Okay. I'm going to go ahead and appoint the Public Defender's Office to represent you. Who's here on behalf of the defense?
Kinsey Johnston for the defense.
Who's the state?
Jeff Frost of the state.
Looks like we have a victim here that needs to be sworn in.
Do you solemnly swear and affirm the testimony you're about to give should be the truth, the whole truth, so help you God?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank
Go
you.
ahead and state your name for the record, please.
Jamal Salesman?
Okay. Is there anything you'd like to tell the court today?
No, ma'am. I just want her to come home. I just wanted to come home.
Do you have fear of having any contact with Ms. Lopez?
No, ma'am.
Do you want to have contact with Ms. Lopez?
Yes, ma'am.
What says defense?
Defense asks that Ms. Mayra be allowed to have Ms. Lopez, sorry, be allowed to have contact with Mr. Salesman. He's here today testifying he wants contact, as well as the arrest affidavit reads more like a simple argument over texting. I don't, so yes, that's all defense has to say.
Says the state.
State would ask for no contact, no weapons, no return.
Okay, I'm going to go ahead and sketch this for PTR and no hostile contact. So you can have contact, but no hostile contact.
Regarding weapons,
And no weapons or firearms. Thank you. Is there anything else you'd like to say to the court?
No, thank you, ma'am.
All right, thank you. Have a good day. Next up is Cassandra Moore. After that is going to be Jimmy Williams. Go ahead and state your name for the record, please.
Cassandra Moore.
I'm going to go ahead and appoint the Public Defender's Office to represent you. Who's here for the defense?
Kinsey Johnston for the defense.
Who's here for the state?
Chad Frost, the state.
What says defense?
Defense asks that you set bond.
What says the state?
State would argue for bond within the bond schedule, but argue no contact, no return, no weapons, no firearms.
He qualifies for PTR.
I'm going to do pretrial release with no contact with victim. No return to the scene, no weapons or firearms. Next up is Jimmy Williams. Is this one next? Is that one? Next up is Jimmy Williams. After that, it's going to be Oliver Smith. So Jimmy Williams first, then Oliver Smith.
It's Oliver Smith and then Jimmy Williams.
All right, we're going to do Oliver Smith first. Sorry about that. Oliver Smith first, then Jimmy Williams. Go ahead and state your name for the record, please.
Oliver Smith.
Okay, I'm going to go ahead and appoint the Public Defender's Office to represent you. Go ahead and state your name for the defense.
Kinsey Johnston for the defense.
Thank you. And who's here for the state?
Chad Frost, the state.
What says the defense? I believe we have a victim here. It needs to be sworn in.
Do you solemnly swear and affirm the testimony you're about to give should be the truth, the whole truth, so help you God?
Yes.
Thank you.
And what's your name for the record, please?
I'm Jacqueline Smith.
And what would you like to tell the court?
I want my husband to come home.
Do you have any fear if your husband were to come home?
No.
Do you want to have contact with him?
Yes.
What says defense?
Defense asks that you allow contact with the victim and set bond.
What says the state?
State asks for no contact, no weapons, no firearms, no return. Bond set a reasonable amount.
Okay, the
Within
court's
the
going
bond.
to find probable cause, set bond in the amount of $250 and count two in the amount of $250, no hostile contact, and no weapons or firearms.
There's an open case.
Which case?
Driving while license suspended, revoked.
I'm not going to take any action on that.
Okay.
All right, next up is going to be Jimmy Williams. Go ahead and state your name for the record, please.
Jimmy Williams.
I'm going to go ahead and appoint the Public Defender's Office to represent you. Go ahead and state your name for the defense.
Kinsey Johnston for the defense.
Chad Frost, the state.
Okay. What says defense?
Defense asks that you set bond.
What says the state?
State asks for bond to be placed within the bond schedule, no contact, no return, no weapons, no firearms.
Court's going to find probable cause, set bond at $500, no return to the scene, no weapons or firearms, no contact with the victim.
He qualifies for PTR.
All right, I'll do PTR. I'll do PTR on this case. Who's next? Is it Bradshaw? Arthur Bradshaw?
Yes, Judge.
All right, Arthur Bradshaw is next. Go ahead and state your name for the record, please.
Lee Reed Bradshaw.
Go ahead and appoint the Public Defender's Office to represent you. Who's here on behalf of the defense?
Kinsey Johnston for the defense.
Who's here on behalf of the state?
Chad Frost, the state,
I
sorry.
want to make sure everyone knows we've got 3 cases here. Does everyone have documents for all 3 cases?
We got 3 warrants, Your Honor.
Yeah, just wanted to make sure. Okay, what says defense?
Defense asks that you set bond on all 3 counts.
What says the state?
I'll go through each one. Appears the bond was set on 20 CF 8360. We ask you to keep the bond on that as is. Bond was set on 20 CF 7112. We ask the court keep the bond on that case the same. And then I get the final one, 20 CF 8358. Keep bond the same.
The court's going to find probable cause. I'm going to keep the bond in regards to 2020 CF 8360 which is count one, 3,500, count two, 500, count three, $250. In regards to 2020 CF 7112, count one, 3,500, count two, 500, count three, 500. And in regards to 2020 CF 8358, court find probable cause and set bond at $1,000 count one, 3,500 count two, 2,500 count three, and 250 count four. Next up is going to be Beverly Brown, and after that, we've got Andre Dickey.
Yes, ma'am.
Go ahead and state your name for the record, please.
Beverly Annette Brown.
I'm going to go ahead and appoint the Public Defender's Office to represent you. Go ahead and state your name for the defense.
Kinsey Johnston for the defense.
Sheriff Ross, the state.
What says defense?
Defense asks that you set bond.
What says the state?
Keep the bond the same, Your Honor.
Court's going to set bond, count one, $250, count two, $250, count three, $100. No contact with victim. Go ahead and state your name for the record, please.
I'm Andre Gerard Dickey.
I'm going to go ahead and appoint the Public Defender's Office to represent you. Go ahead and state your name for the defense.
Kinsey Johnston for the defense.
Who's the state?
Sheriff Ross, the state. I'm sorry, Your Honor, is this Guzman or?
This is Dickey, and then on deck we have Guzman. So
Apologize.
Dickey first.
Apologize. Your Honor.
Battery, two priors.
Can I ask where is this from?
I'm sorry, I didn't hear the question.
Can I ask where is this charge from? Because I've been in jail like 8 months. I don't even know where this charge is from.
For case number 2020 CF 8308, the charge is battery with two priors.
Oh, yeah.
Petty theft, Your Honor.
What says the defense?
All I have is a warrant for battery, two priors, so
Oh, I'm sorry.
defense asks that you keep the bond that's already been set, it looks like, or set bond if there isn't one.
What says the state?
I apologize for the court. I thought you were looking at Dixon. If, keep bond if it's already been set, Your Honor.
Court's going to find probable cause. Bond's already been set at 2,500. I'm going to keep the bond.
Okay.
2,500.
There's no
No, huh?
explanation where this case comes from?
It's a warrant.
Can you tell me where the warrant comes from?
The warrant has come from Orange County.
On what day?
I don't have a copy of the warrant. Do you have a copy of the warrant? Hold on, we're going to pull up the warrant for you. Additional concern is going to be do not return to the scene and no contact with the victim.
This was a PC warrant, so we don't have the affidavit.
Okay. We don't have the affidavit, but it is a warrant signed by a judge. So probable cause
Yeah,
has been found
because
already.
I have a son and my father's name have the same name as me, and I've been in jail for the last 7 months. So I'm trying to figure out how I have a warrant for a battery when I've been in jail for 7 months.
Is there any way to find out the date of the warrant? Is there no way to find out?
Usually the state.
State, is there any way to find out the date of the warrant? Or the date of the incident? He's indicating he's been in jail for 8 months.
What's the case number?
2020 CF 8308.
It's not on our computer. I'd have to check the clerk's computer. 20 CF 838. Oh,
2020 CF 8308.
I'd have to check the clerk's computer, Your Honor.
Not in
It's
there.
not in our system.
Right now, the court's going to find probable cause because it is Acapius. So contact your lawyer and she can answer any and all questions for you. She can get
I
a copy of the warrant for
I
you.
contacted my attorney yesterday when I was served the warrant, and he couldn't find nothing in the clerk of the court or nowhere neither. The same thing that y'all are doing. He couldn't find it nowhere in my file.
I just appointed you the attorney today.
No, I have a paid lawyer that when they served me, told me yesterday that I had a warrant, I called my lawyer and he looked it up and he couldn't see anything either.
Okay. Well, I'm gonna ask, I've appointed the public defender's office to represent you. I'm gonna ask the public defender's office to look into getting him a copy. Can you do that?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, public defender's office will give you a copy.
So I do have bonds if I would have to bond out on the charges?
Yes, you do have a bond. The bond is $2,500, no return to the scene, no contact with the victim.
Who is the victim?
Once again, I don't have a copy of the warrant.
Okay, thank you.
All right, thank you. We've got Guzman right now, and on deck is going to be Harrison. Go ahead and state your name for the record, please.
Quintilio Guzman.
I'm going to go ahead and appoint the public defender's office to represent you. Who's here for the defense?
Kinsey Johnston for the defense.
Who's here for the state?
Jeff Russell State.
What says defense?
Defense asks that you set bond in this case.
What says the state?
Bond's already set at $1,000.
Court's going to find probable cause, set bond at $1,000.
Yes, two cases.
That was for the grand theft. Looks like he also has a no valid DL. Court's going to find probable cause, set bond at $500. James Harrison, and next is
Your Honor, he's
Paul
he's medical.
Harrison. Right now we've got James Harrison. Go ahead and state your name for the record, please.
James Harrison is medical, Your Honor.
Oh, he's medical?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, I'm going to go ahead and appoint the public defender's office to represent him. And who's the state?
Jeff Russell State.
What says defense?
Kinsey Johnston for the defense. We ask that you set bond.
Do you waive his
And
appearance?
yes, and I waive his appearance.
What says the state?
I apologize to the court, it's not in my, I don't have the paperwork for that case. What is the charge?
It's burglary of a conveyance, 2020 CF 8354.
I just asked no contact with the victim and stay within the bond schedule.
Why is this written on the top with just this charge and we've got the other charges here?
There's a bond corrections form, and they only corrected that one count,
Oh, okay.
the amount of the bond.
Court's going to find probable cause. For count one is going to be a bond of $250. For count two, the bond is going to be $3,500. And for count three, the bond is going to be $250.
Should have a total of 4 counts.
I got 3 counts.
So the criminal mischief.
Pick my hands up.
Okay, so what's the
Oh, times 2.
Yeah.
Okay, so for each count of the burglary. It's going to be, well,
Let me see what they did on this front. 3,500. So this one is 3,500, and then the other count is 1,000.
all right, that's what I'll do as well. So the first count of burglary is $3,500, second count is $1,000. I didn't want to do $3,500 for each count.
Okay, and then the criminal mischief is 250.
250, yeah. No return to the scene. Do you have Paul Harrison? Go ahead and state your name for the record, please.
Paul Harrison.
I'm going to go ahead and appoint the public defender's office to present you.
Yes.
Go ahead and state your name for the record, starting with the defense.
Kinsey Johnston for the
Who's
defense.
the state?
Jeff Russell State.
What says defense?
Defense asks that you set bond.
He qualifies for PTR.
Defense asks for PTR then, for release on PTR then.
What says the state?
I believe the charges are trafficking of methamphetamine and possession of cannabis with intent to sell. State would argue the bond amounts are $500,000 and $50,000, and the bond amounts be stay the same, Your Honor, based upon the nature of the charges.
Court's gonna find probable cause, and I'm gonna keep the bond, $500,000 for count one and $50,000 for count two. Next is Joseph Hernandez de Jesus.
Your Honor, he's in the hospital.
Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and appoint the public defender's office to represent him. Who's here on behalf of the defense?
Kinsey Johnston for the defense.
Who's the state?
Sheriff Ross, the state.
Do you waive his appearance?
I do, Your Honor. And just ask that you set bond.
Court's gonna set bond at count one, 1,000, count two, 100, count three, 100.
There's another case.
Oh, sorry. It doesn't say times two on any of them.
No, he has a second case.
Oh, yes, 2020 CF 8362, burglary of a dwelling. All right, I'm gonna find probable cause on that case. Count one, $1,000, count two, $100 for the criminal mischief. No return to the scene. No contact with victim. Next is Antoine Ladson.
Yes, ma'am, Judge. Am I able to speak right now?
Well, just state your name right now first.
Antoine Latson.
I'm going to go ahead and appoint the public defender's office to represent you. Go ahead and state your name for the record, please.
Kinsey Johnston for the defense.
Who's here for the state?
Sheriff Ross, the state.
It appears that your client wants to make a statement. Do you want to give any advice to your client?
I would not advise that my client make any statements at this time that's not advised for your case or will likely help your case at all. Defense merely asks that judge either set bond or keep the bond at where it is, and client can get in contact with the public defender's office and discuss the case, and that will be better than saying anything right now.
But ma'am, this will help my case. Me and my co-defendant, which is my fiance, we were charged.
I'm sorry, I have to speak over you. It's really not good for you to speak any details about your case right now. I know it probably sounds like a good idea, but please avoid doing that. You can get in contact with the public defender in the next few days and tell them everything you want to say right now.
Mr. Ladson, I'm just trying to tell you that everything you say is being recorded here today, and the state attorney is present. So any statements that you make can and will be used against you at a future court hearing. Do you understand?
Yes, I know. I just want to say one thing because it's confusing me. I don't understand what's going on. How are me and my co-defendant getting charged with the same thing? And my co-defendant...
Your attorney has given you advice, and I've advised you of the consequences of possibly making a statement, so it's up to you.
Okay.
What do you want to do?
I want to be able to talk, make my statement.
You've been advised of everything he's saying that could possibly be used against you, and your attorney has advised you not to speak, but it's your choice.
I want to be able to make my statement just to be able to be heard out because I'm confused and this is a big glitch. This can hold me back from a lot because I'm getting charged. Me and my co-defendant is getting charged.
Just so you know, you have a good attorney who's giving you good advice right now, but it's up to you.
Your Honor, if I could just say one other thing, it's that it doesn't really matter anything you say right now. You're not going to be released from jail today if you say something at all. Right now, we're just determining bond, so that's why it's best to be quiet and just let me ask for bond to be set and then get in touch with the public defender.
Yes, ma'am.
What would you like to do, Mr. Ladson?
Huh?
What would you like to do?
I'm good. I don't want to talk. Y'all asked me 3 times, so I don't want to talk.
I always make sure that I warn clients of their right to not incriminate themselves. That is a very important right that they have. Who's here for the state?
Sheriff Ross, the state.
What says defense?
Defense asks that you set bond.
What says the state?
State. Would argue as to count one, the bonds remain the same, I believe this, which is possession of firearm by convicted felon. As to count two, possession of cannabis by, the state would agree to ROI on count two. But ask that this court keep the bond the same on count one.
We also have a Dwellis case as well.
Set bond on that one, Your Honor, pursuant to the statute.
All right, for 2020 CF 8373, the court's going to find probable cause. Bond for count one, $4,000. Bond for count two, $150. In regards to 2000 CT, I think it's 4292. It's handwritten, so it's handwritten.
2020 CT 4292.
Yes. Court's going to find probable cause, set bond at $500.
Then he
Thank
got
you.
cases that he's out on bond. He got cases.
No action taken on those.
Okay.
Next up is going to be Roy Lovett, and after that is going to be Corey
Yes,
Mast.
ma'am.
Go ahead and state your name for the record, please.
My name is Roy Lee Lovett.
Go ahead and appoint public defender's office to present you. Who's here for the defense?
Yes, I need it.
Kinsey Johnston for the defense.
Who's here for the state?
Sheriff Ross, the same.
All right, we're here for 1, 2, 3, 4 cases. What says defense?
I only had one case.
I've got the petty theft. I've got the other petty theft, possession of cannabis, possession of drug paraphernalia, possession of cocaine, possession of drug paraphernalia, and resisting without violence.
I have two, Judge.
I have two cases. Maybe
I have two cases, Your Honor.
Somehow they probably got attached to each other.
Oh, okay.
Just
Someone
two.
else's case got attached with paper clips, so I thought they were all the same. It's actually 2 cases. It's a failure to appear, and it's a petty theft.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, Your Honor, defense just asked that you set bond in both of these cases.
What says the state?
State would ask for no bond on the failure to appear.
The failure to appear, the court's going to order, of course, going to find probable cause, failure to appear, no bond. Of course, going to find probable cause for petty theft, which is going to be bond $250.
Judge, you raised the bond to no bond on the FPA? It came in at
Oh, if it came in at 2,000, I'll leave it at 2,000. That's fine.
I don't understand what just happened. How about the one with?
Next up is going to be Lorenzo Lowry, and after that is going to be Shantarius Mason. Go ahead and state your name for the record, please.
Your Honor, Mason.
It's Lorenzo Lowry is next.
We don't have a Lowry on our docket, Your Honor.
You don't have a Lorenzo Lowry?
No, ma'am.
We can just give them the inmate number and they can tell us if keep on. Inmate number is 200-15451.
Find it.
Thank you.
Okay. Do you have Shantarius Mason?
Your Honor, his behavior.
I'm sorry?
His behavior.
Oh, behavior? Okay. I'm going to go ahead and appoint the public defender's office to represent him. Who's here on behalf of the defense?
Kinsey Johnston for the
Who's
defense.
the state?
Sheriff Ross, the state.
Do you waive his appearance?
Yes, Your Honor. And just ask that you set bond. There's no PC challenges for this.
What says the state?
Keep the bond the same.
Court's going to find probable cause, set bond at count 1, 1,000, count 2, 100, count 3, 100. Next up is Corey Mast. After that is going to be Brandon Mitchell. Go ahead and state your name for the record, please.
Corey Mast.
I'm going to go ahead and appoint the public defender's office to represent you. Who's here for the defense?
Kinsey Johnston for the defense.
Who's here for the state?
Sheriff Ross, the state.
What says defense? We're here for grand theft motor vehicle.
Defense requests that you set bond.
Looks like we got grand theft motor vehicle and possession of methamphetamine and possession of drug paraphernalia. What says the state?
Sheriff Ross, the state. State would ask you to keep the bond the same on both cases.
For the grand, I'm going to find probable cause for all the counts. And for both cases, for the grand theft, 1,000. For the possession of methamphetamine, 1,000. Possession of drug paraphernalia, 100. Brandon Mitchell is next, and
Your
Daquan
Honor,
Penny
he's
is
the
next.
behavior as well.
His name is Brandon Mitchell.
He's the behavior, Your Honor.
Behavioral. I'm going to go ahead and appoint the Public Defender's Office to represent him. Go ahead and state your name for the defense.
Kinsey Johnston for the defense.
Do you waive his appearance?
Yes, I do, Your Honor.
Who's here for the state?
Sheriff Ross of the state.
All right, we're here for 2 cases. What says defense?
Defense just asked that you set bond for both cases.
What says the state?
State asks the bond to stay the same.
The grand theft, I'm gonna find probable cause for both cases. For the grand theft, $2,000. For the no valid DL, $1,000. Next up is gonna be Daquan Penny. After that is gonna be Corey Roberts. Go ahead and state your name for the record, please.
Dequan Penny.
I'm gonna go ahead and appoint the Public Defender's Office to represent you. Go ahead and state your name for the record. Defense.
Kinsey Johnston for the defense.
What says the state?
Sheriff Ross of the state. I'm sorry, Your Honor. What is the defendant being charged with? I don't have paperwork on him.
This is failure to register as required.
As a sex offender?
Yes.
May I get a copy, Your Honor? I don't have it. Okay. It's ready, Your Honor.
That's okay? What says defense?
Defense just asked that you set bond.
What says the state?
State asks you to set the bond amount to keep it with the arrest warrant, Your Honor.
All right, the court's gonna find probable cause. Bond's gonna remain the same at $1,000. Next up is going to be Corey Roberts. After that is gonna be Akil Salazar. Go ahead and state your name for the record, please. Corey Roberts.
Yes, ma'am.
Go ahead and state your name for the record, please.
Corey Roberts.
I'm gonna go ahead and appoint the Public Defender's Office to represent you. Who's here for the defense?
Kinsey Johnston for the defense.
Who's here for the state?
Sheriff Ross of the state.
What says defense?
Defense asked that you set bond.
What says state?
State asks you to keep with the bond, with the already bond of $2,500.
He qualifies for PTR.
Defense, you're requesting PTR, he qualifies.
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, I'll go ahead and order PTR.
Any conditions?
State, any conditions you're requesting?
No return.
No return to scene, no contact with victim.
I believe the scene is a Lynx bus station, Your Honor, so I believe that he should not be allowed, the no return would be any Lynx bus.
That's fine. Next up is Salazar. After that is going to be Sanchez.
Your Honor, Sanchez is refused court.
Sanchez refused court?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, right now we've got Salazar. Do we have Salazar?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Go ahead and state your name for the record, please.
Akil Salazar.
Okay. I'm going to go ahead and appoint the Public Defender's Office to represent you. Go ahead and state your name for the record, please.
Kinsey Johnston for the defense.
Who is here for the state?
Chad Frost, the state.
What says defense?
Defense asks that you set bond. Oh, Salazar, sorry.
Yes, Salazar.
I have word from the state that Salazar should be released. Apparently, the warrant that he is linked to his name doesn't actually match Mr. Salazar.
No, no, clarification, I was informed by somebody, I forgot a few hours ago. He is charged with grand theft, but I think my office has already filed petty theft charges on the same case. So he was arrested, but he should have been issued a summons on the petty theft
Is there
charge.
currently a summons for the petty theft?
I believe so.
Then
What?
let's,
Either way, we're asking that he be released.
I would like just to make sure there's clarification on the summons issue because
double check and see if the summons has been issued?
Judge, I have information as well. It was saying that he was arrested on the warrant, but it was recalled by the judge on 6/5/2020. The felony case he was arrested was downgraded to a misdemeanor, and his summons was issued.
Okay, then he should be released.
is there any issue with the summons though, Your Honor?
That's showing that it's served.
Summons is served.
Okay.
Yes, in our system. So, do you want me to put it in order to recall? What do you want me to put this on? Because right now, it's showing, so I have to do something so they can release it in the group. And I can put, maybe ROR.
Yeah, ROR. Okay, the paperwork is going to say ROR. Okay, next up is Sanchez, but you indicated that Sanchez refused to come, is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
I'm going to go ahead and appoint the Public Defender's Office to represent him. Go ahead and state your name for the defense.
Kinsey Johnston for the
Who's
defense.
here for the state?
Chad Frost, the state.
Do you waive his appearance?
Yes, Your Honor.
What says defense?
Just that you set bond, Your Honor.
What says the state?
You state it's a failure to appear on a petty theft, Your Honor.
What's the state requesting?
State will allow the trial court to take care of it, Your Honor, but I understand it's also a petty theft.
I'm going to set bond in the amount of $500
For charge, Judge,
for each charge.
and he's out on a petty theft. He has an open case.
I'll take no action on that today.
Okay.
Next up is Roger Stone. After that is going to be Stephanie Taylor. Go ahead and state your name for the record, please.
Roger Stone II.
I'm going to go ahead and appoint the Public Defender's Office to, this is Roger Stone?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. I'll go ahead and appoint the Public Defender's Office to represent you. Go ahead and state your name for the defense.
Kinsey Johnston for the
Who's
defense.
here for the state?
Chad Frost, the state.
What says defense?
Defense asks that you set bond.
What says the state?
I believe. Your Honor, I believe the defendant I'd stay within the bond schedule, Your Honor.
Court's going to find probable cause, set bond at $2,500.
He's currently out.
Say again?
He's currently out on another charge. You gonna take no action on an open charge?
Yeah, I'll take no action on it. Stephanie Taylor is next. And
Your Honor,
after that-
she's refused.
Stephanie Taylor refused?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. I'll go ahead and appoint the Public Defender's Office to represent her. Go ahead and state your name for the record, please.
Kinsey Johnston for the defense.
Do you waive her appearance?
Yes, I do, Your Honor.
Who is the state?
Chad Frost, the state.
What's the defense requesting?
Just that you set bond, Your Honor.
What says the state?
State bond within the bond schedule.
Great. Court's going to find probable cause. Count 1, 5,000. Count 2, 100. No return to the scene.
And she's out on another charge.
I'll take no action taken on that. Next is going to be Whisper, Omri Whisper. Go ahead and state your name for the record, please. There's 2 cases for Omri. What is it? Yes, Omri Whisper. Go ahead and state your name for the record, please.
Yes, my name is Omari Whisper.
Thank you. I'm going to go ahead and appoint the Public Defender's Office to represent you. Go ahead and state your name for the record.
Kinsey Johnston for the defense.
Who's here for the state?
Chad Frost, the state.
What says defense?
Defense asks that you release this client ROR. This charge is just a driving while license suspended.
It's 2 cases.
Oh, what is the other case?
Other case is resisting without violence, burglary of a conveyance, fleeing or attempting to elude law enforcement, criminal mischief, and resisting with violence.
Apologies, Your Honor. For some reason, I only had, oh no, I had both. I just messed up. Apologies. Defense thus requests that you just set bond on each of these charges.
What says the state?
I believe the only count that doesn't have a bond is the fleeing attempt to elude, Your Honor. I'd ask that you keep bond the same on all the other counts and then set a bond on that count according to the bond schedule. I'm not sure as to why no bond was set on the fleeing and eluding.
For 20 CT, I think it says, is that 8928?
872 AW.
Okay, for that case, I will keep the bond at 500 for 2020 CF 8375. Count 1, $500. Count 2, $3,500. Count 3, $2,000. Count 4, $500, and count 5, $1,000.
Those are just the conditions. It should be this one. Correct.
Okay. Next up is JoJo Ship.
Your Honor, she's medical.
Okay. I'll go ahead and appoint the Public Defender's Office to represent her. Who's the defense?
Kinsey Johnston for the defense.
Do you waive her appearance?
Yes, I do, Your Honor.
Who's here for the state?
Sheriff Frost, the state.
What says defense?
Defense just asks that you set bond.
What says the state?
Bond within the bond schedule.
Court's going to set bond at $100.
Judge, she had a bond, you want to change it already at 500.
She had a bond already at 500?
Yes.
I'll take it down to 100. Next up is going to be Wally Julian. Go ahead and state your name for the record, please.
My name is Wale Smith Julien, Your Honor.
Okay, and go ahead and appoint the Public Defender's Office to represent you. Go ahead and state your name for the defense.
Kinsey Johnston for the
Who's
defense.
here for the state?
Sheriff Frost, the state.
What says defense?
Your Honor, I believe this is just a Dwillis, driving while license suspended, defense,
It's a failure to appear from a
a
dwelling.
failure to appear from a Dwillis. So defense asks that you release, that you grant ROR for this client.
What says the state?
State would ask you not grant ROR, Your Honor. Restate bond.
Court's going to find probable cause, bond $500.
He's out on the case, open case.
He is?
Yes. He was out on bond. It was on 2020 CT 002692AO.
What kind of a case is that?
Driving while license suspended.
I'm not going to take any action on it. All right, Mario White Jr. is next, and then on deck is going to be Trace Curtis. Go ahead and state your name for the record, please.
Mario Dion White Jr.
I'm going to go ahead and appoint the Public Defender's Office to represent you. Who's here for the defense?
Kinsey Johnston for the
Who's
defense.
here for the state?
Sheriff Frost, the state.
What says defense?
One moment, Your Honor. I think this is another failure to appear on a driving while license suspended, so defense would just request bond as was set in the previous case, $500.
What says the state?
Same argument.
I'll do the same. Probable cause, 500.
Judge, he has an open case.
I'll take any action today.
Okay.
Trace Curtis, go ahead and state your name for the record, please. Do we have Trace Curtis present?
Your Honor, he's a behavior.
I'll go ahead and appoint the Public Defender's Office to represent him. Who's here for the defense?
Kinsey Johnston for the
Who's
defense.
here for the state?
Chad Frost will stay.
Do you waive your client's appearance?
Yes, I do, Your Honor, and I also would request ROR for this client. It's just a trespass. It's pretty minor.
What says the state?
State would argue bond, no return.
I'll set bond at $100, no return. Next up is Raphael James. After that is Kurt Spath. Go ahead and state your name for the record, please.
Raphael James.
Okay, I'll go ahead and appoint the public defense officer to represent you. Who's here for the defense?
Kinsey Johnston for the
Who's
defense.
here for the state?
Chad Frost will stay.
What says defense?
Defense would request ROR for this charge. It's just it's two pretty minor charges.
What says the state?
State would ask for bond, no return.
Court's going to set bond the amount of $250 for count 1, $100 for count 2, no return to the scene. Kurt Spath is next. After that is Natasha Stewart. Go ahead and state your name for the record, please.
Natasha Stewart.
Oh, sorry, Kurt Spath is next.
2001-5450. Bond it.
Oh, bonded out, all right. Next up is Natasha Stewart, and after that is Nikki Warren. Go ahead and state your name for the record, please.
Natasha Stewart.
I'm going to go ahead and appoint the public defender's office to represent you. State your name for the record, please.
Kinsey Johnston for the defense.
Who's the state?
Chad Frost will stay.
What says defense?
Defense would request ROR for this client. It's just a trespass at a 7-Eleven.
What says the state?
I'm sorry, is this Natasha Stewart?
Yes.
This is Natasha Stewart. It's the resisting without violence and the petty theft.
Yeah.
Happened at 7-Eleven.
Oh, sorry.
So
I
based on the
misspoke.
resisting without violence charges, the state would ask for bond, no return on the petty theft.
Court's going to find probable cause, count 1, $500, count 2, $100, no return to the scene. Nikki Warren is next. After that is going to be Anthony Yates. Go ahead and state your name for the record, please.
Nikki Warren.
Thank you. I'm going to go ahead and appoint the public defender's office to represent you. Go ahead and state your name for the record, please.
Kinsey Johnston for the
Who's the
defense.
state?
Chad Frost will stay.
What says defense?
This is a, defense would request ROR. Again, this is a petty theft misdemeanor at a Walmart.
What says the state?
Amounts over $100, so sure than and one misdemeanor, but state would ask for bond.
Court's going to set bond at $250, no return to the scene. No return to Walmart. Anthony Yates is next. You don't have Anthony Yates? Oh, he's medical. I'm going to go ahead and appoint the public defense office to represent Anthony Yates. Go ahead and state your name for the record, please.
Kinsey Johnston for the defense.
You waive his appearance?
Yes, I do, Your Honor.
Who's the state?
Chad Frost will stay. I apologize, Your Honor. Can I have the charges?
These are out-of-county warrants.
Okay.
What says defense?
Just that you set or keep bond if it's already set.
What says state?
Take no action at this time.
Looks like bonds were set in the amount of $1,000 each. Which county does this come out of? This is still orange. What does it say out of county?
We don't have access to out-of-county paperwork. All we have is what they give us. We don't have it in our system. So pre-trial, can you assist with this case?
Yes. Do you want to know which county?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, hold on one second.
Sorry, Judge.
Looks
I don't
like,
have no way of
looks
looking
like
it
a
up.
Scambia,
It's
but it
Scambia
also
County.
looks, it looks like a Scambia, but they also gave bond at $1,000. I'm gonna keep that. Find probable cause and set bond at $1,000 for each count. Is this the next case?
The next case should be Brittany Thomas.
Yeah, Brittany Thomas.
Brittany Thomas is medical, Your Honor.
Okay, so this is one of the ones that the teller
We'll go ahead and appoint the public defender's office to represent the client. Go ahead and state your name for the record, please.
Me or the client? Oh, Kinsey, the client's not here. Sorry. Kinsey Johnston for the defense.
Who's here for the state?
Jeff Ross will stay.
All right, I received information. It says, in regards to Brittany Thompson, defendant to be present in court, reduced bond to $1,000, no contact with victim, no return to the scene, and must appear at all court dates. Contact PD in Lake County. That's the message that I received. Who sent that message? Is it Lake County?
It's Lake County. Usually you put the judge's name, but it's not there.
All right, I'm going to find probable cause. I'm going to go ahead and do that. Reducing the bond to $1,000, no contact with victim, no return to scene, must appear at all court dates, and contact PD in Lake County. Okay?
Okay.
The 1,000 per charge, Judge?
Yes, that $1,000 each count.
Okay. Well, it should be 5. They said 1,000 or 500 each count.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Should be on.
It says reduced to $1,000. But look, we've got two different counts. So it reduced to $1,000, so 1,000 each count.
Something else. We'll come back to this one since she's not here. I need to look it up. 'cause I
Okay,
thought
we're
I
going to look that one up just to double check.
the bond amount.
So we're going to recall that one just to double check. All right, next up is going to be Clark. We have Dwight Clark.
Yes, ma'am.
Go ahead and state your name for the record, please.
Dwight Clark.
And go ahead and appoint the public defender's office to represent you. Go ahead and state your name for the defense.
Kinsey Johnston for the
Who's
defense.
the state?
Jeff Ross will stay.
What says defense?
Your Honor, this is an open container charge. Defense would request ROR.
What
Stay, I have no
says?
problem with that.
All right, ROR.
He's out currently on another case, Judge.
I'll take no action on that one. All right, next one is going to be Nicholas Corrier.
Carrera, Your Honor.
Thank you. All right, I'm going to go ahead and appoint the public defender's office to represent you. Go ahead and state your name for the defense.
Kinsey Johnston for the defense.
Who's here for the state?
Jeff Ross will stay.
What says defense?
This is a charge for panhandling. Again, would request ROR.
What says state?
No objection to that.
ROR. Michael Montgomery. Go ahead and state your name for the record, please.
Yes, ma'am.
Go ahead and state your name for the record, please.
Michael Lee Montgomery.
Go ahead and appoint the public defender's office to represent you. Who's here for the defense?
Kinsey Johnston for the defense.
Who's here for the state?
Jeff Ross will stay.
What says defense?
Again, this is also panhandling. We would request ROR for this.
Court's going to ROR.
He's currently out also, Your Honor, on another case.
Fine, I won't take any action taken. From probable cause and ROR. All right, our last case that we have a question on.
Yeah. Okay, so she sent out a.
Count 100, count 500? Oh, 500 count. Okay, let's just clarify. For Brittany Thomas, the message we received was a total bond of $1,000 for $500 for each count.
Okay, thank you.
So we're good. Is that it for us? Okay. We're done? All right, just on the record. And the call.
And that's how you do it.
I thought they was, yeah. Because, no, he's slow. He's really slow. Oh, poor thing.
They need to leave them people alone. Cause that's not even worth the county money. Arresting them people paying, that's crazy. Leave them people alone. They ain't got no money, nobody there begging, so how they gonna get out of jail?
Tiara Banks first.
Okay.
On deck, which is the second case, is Tiara Banks.
Okay, we just didn't hear you for a second.
All right, sorry about that. Shakaria Banks, please state your name for the record.
Shakaria Banks.
I'm going to go ahead and appoint the Public Defender's Office to represent you. Go ahead and state your name for the record, defense.
Ben Houston King for the defense, Your Honor.
Who's the state?
Chad Frost, the state.
What says defense?
Your Honor, the only thing we'd like to let the court know is pretrial release let me know that she does qualify for direct PTR.
State has no objection.
Okay, we'll do direct PTR then.
No.
All right, next up is going to be Tiara Banks, and after that is going to be Grace Berry. Go ahead and state your name for the record, ma'am. All right, I'm going to go ahead and appoint the Public Defender's Office to represent you. Go ahead and state your name for the record, defense.
Ben Houston King with the Public Defender's Office for the defense.
Who's the state?
Chad Frost, the state.
What says defense?
Your Honor, we don't have anything to argue for this case, just request that a reasonable bond be set.
All right, I'm going to find probable cause, set bond at count 1, 1,000, bond at count 2, 500, bond at count 3, 500. That's for the Duelis habitual possession of counterfeit ID, possession of counterfeit ID. There's also another case that I have for Tiara, and that is false ID, bond 500. I'll leave it at that, and find probable cause for all. Also, the court found probable cause for the previous case as well, Tiara Banks.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Next up is Grace Berry. Next is Michael Beaulieu. Go ahead and state your name for the record, please.
Grace Berry.
I'm going to go ahead and appoint the Public Defender's Office to represent you. Go ahead and state your name for the defense.
Ben Houston King with the Public Defender's Office for the defense.
Who's the state?
Chad Frost, the state.
All right, what says defense?
Your Honor, no argument here, just that we request a bond be set and a reasonable amount.
What says the state?
Stay within the bond schedule.
Any conditions of,
No contact, no return. No weapons, no firearms.
all right, the court's going to set the bond at $500. No contact with the victim, no weapons or firearms, no return to the scene. Mr. Beaulieu is next. After that is Kareem Bendagaha. Go ahead and state your name for the record, please.
Michael Boyer.
Okay. I'm going to go ahead and appoint the Public Defender's Office to represent you. Who's here on behalf of the defense?
Ben Houston King with the Public Defender's Office, Your Honor.
Who's the state?
Chad Frost, the state.
What says defense?
Your Honor, no argument, just request a reasonable bond be set. You don't, they didn't tell me that you qualified for.
What says this?
Is this trespass correct, Your Honor?
Yes, this is trespass.
No objection to ROR.
Okay, ROR.
Your Honor, for the record, the defendant is currently out on bond for trespass in Osceola County in 20 MM 1458.
Thank you. I'll still do ROR. Taking no action. All right, next up is Kareem Bendagaha, and the next is Jessica Bray. Go ahead and state your name for the record, please. I'm sure I mispronounced that.
Kareem Bendaga.
Thank you. Thank you, sir. I'm going to go ahead and appoint the Public Defender's Office to represent you. Who's here on behalf of the defense?
Ben Houston King with the defense for the PD's office.
Who's the state?
Chad Frost, the state.
What says defense?
No argument, Your Honor, just requesting a reasonable bond.
What says the state?
Stay within the bond schedule, no contact with the victims.
All right. Count 1, bond 2,500. Count 2, 500. Count 3, 500. Count 4, 250. Total of $3,750. No contact with the victims.
Your Honor,
Court's
for
finding
the
probable cause.
record, the defendant is currently out on bond in Osceola case 2020 CT 314.
No action taken. Next up is Jessica Bray, and then we're going to have William Cara after that. Go ahead and state your name for the record, ma'am.
Jessica Bray.
I'm going to go ahead and appoint the Public Defender's Office to represent you. Go ahead and state your name for the defense, please.
Ben Houston King for the defense with the Public Defender's Office.
Who's here for the state?
Chad Frost, the state.
What says defense?
Your Honor, no argument from us. We just request that a bond be set in this case at a reasonable amount.
What says the state?
Stay within the bond schedule, please.
Okay. Court's going to order count 1, $500, count 2, $500, total 1,000.
Your Honor, for the record, the defendant is currently out on in Osceola case 20MM1645.
Court's going to do no action taken. Next up is William Cara. After that is going to be Mirna Caraballo Vasquez. Go ahead and state your name for the record, please.
William Cara.
Thank you. I'm going to go ahead and appoint the Public Defender's Office to represent you. Go ahead and state your name for the record.
Ben Houston King for the defense, Your Honor.
Okay. Who's here for the state?
Chad Frost, the state. Your Honor, I did not get a copy of this case. What is the charge?
It is criminal mischief, 200 or less.
State will just ask for reasonable bond.
What says defense?
Your Honor, he does qualify for direct PTR, but we would ask for ROR if that's okay for this case, due to the nature of the charge.
State has no problem with PTR, Your Honor, but no contact with the victim.
We'll do PTR, no contact with victim.
Thank you.
Next up is Mirna Caraballo Vasquez. After that is going to be Jose Garcia Ortiz.
She'll need a Spanish interpreter, Your Honor.
Okay.
Just, yep.
I'm going to press add. I'm going to press interpreter. Do we have the interpreter on the line?
Good morning, Your Honor. Can you hear me?
Yes. Can you go ahead and state your name for the record, please?
Your Honor, this is Flavia Rodriguez, state certified court interpreter, not sworn in today.
Do you solemnly swear to translate correctly from English to Spanish and Spanish to English to the best of your ability?
I do, to the best of my ability. Flavia Rodriguez, state certified court interpreter.
Thank you. Go ahead and state your name for the record, Miss Caraballo Vasquez.
Señora Caraballo Vázquez, diga su nombre para que conte en el acto.
Mirna Caraballo Vázquez.
Mirna Caraballo Vázquez.
I'm going to go ahead and appoint the Public Defender's Office to represent you.
Voy a proceder a asignar a la oficina del defensor público para que la represente.
Counsel for defense, please state your name for the record.
Ben Houston King for the defense.
Who's here for the state?
Chad Frost, the state.
Ben Justin en representación de la defensa y licenciado en representación de la fiscalía.
What says defense?
Your Honor, no argument from the defense. We just request that a reasonable bond be set in this amount, in this case.
What says the state?
State asks for a reasonable bond, no contact, no return, no weapons, no firearms.
Court's going to set bond amount of $500, no contact with the victim, no return to the scene, no weapons or firearms.
¿Qué dice la defensa? No tenemos ningún argumento que presentar, solamente pedimos que se fije una fianza razonable. ¿Qué dice la fiscalía? Pedimos que se fije una fianza razonable, que se prohíba el contacto con la víctima, el regreso al lugar de los hechos y la tenencia de armas o armas de fuego. La jueza ha dicho que se fijará la fianza en cantidad de $500. Se prohíbe el contacto con la víctima, el regreso al lugar de los hechos.
All right, thank you, ma'am.
Gracias, señora.
Next up is going to be Jose Garcia Ortiz. After that, it's going to be Chris Nunez on deck. Go ahead and state your name for the record, please.
Jose Garcia Ortiz.
I'm going to go ahead and appoint the Public Defender's Office to represent you. Who's counsel for defense?
Ben Houston King with the Public Defender's Office for Defense.
Who's the state?
Sorry, Your Honor, is that a Spanish case?
Is this a Spanish interpreter case?
Do you need one? No, thank you.
It's not a Spanish interpreter case. We'll call you back if we need you.
Thank you.
Your Honor, I can stay on the line if you need me to.
Okay, we don't have that many more
I don't think we
cases,
have any
so.
more here in Osceola, just so you all know.
Okay, then we'll just call you back if we need you then for Orange.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
Thank you. Go ahead and state your name for the record, please.
Chad Frost, the state.
What says defense?
Your Honor, I just have that this was a warrant arrest, so that's the only information that I have.
What says the state?
State would ask to keep bond with the warrant amount.
I'm going to keep the same bond as the warrant.
Can I get that
Right.
amount, please?
Yeah, count 1 is going to be 25,000, count 2 is 10,000, count 3 is 500, count 4 is 100, for a total of 35,600.
Thank you.
And there's probable cause. All right, next up is going to be Chris Nunez, and after that is going to be,
Your Honor, Mr. Garcia Ortiz did have a private attorney, but
there's no private attorney here.
okay.
So I'll appoint the public defender's office, and if they file a substitution of counsel, we can go ahead and do it that way.
Sounds good, thank you.
State has a private attorney contacted you in regards to this case?
Want to talk to is him, no?
Oh, I wasn't aware there was a private attorney here, otherwise I would have taken you first.
That's all right, Judge. He's in Orange.
You're in Orange? Okay, we only have a few more Osceola County cases, and then we'll switch over, okay? All right, we're here for Chris Nunez. Go ahead and state your name for the record, please.
Chris Nunez.
I'll go ahead and appoint the public defender's office to represent you. Go ahead and state your name for the defense.
Ben Houston King with the Public Defender's Office for Defense.
Who's the state?
Scott Frost, the state.
What says defense?
Your Honor, no argument as to the new law charge, but we would request that a bond be set. He asked me to ask for a bond to be set, and it's a violation of probation hearing if the court would allow it.
What says the state?
State would agree to a bond on the new law offense, but not the violation of probation.
All right, the court's going to order no bond on the violation of probation for battery strangulation, $500, no contact with victim, no weapons or firearms. Violation of community control, no bond. Anything else in regards to this case?
What was the bond amount on the new law violation again, Your Honor?
$500.
Thank you.
No contact with victim, no weapons or firearms.
Got it. Thank you.
Where'd they put the name on this one? Oh, there we go. Next up is Jamie Saunders. After that is going to be Jocelyn Soto. Go ahead and state your name for the record, please. I'm going to go ahead and appoint the public defender's office to represent you. Counsel for defense, go ahead and state your name for the record.
Ben Houston King for the defense.
Who's the state?
Chad Frost, the state. I apologize to the court. I don't believe I have a paperwork.
This is an out-of-county failure to appear for arraignment, property damage, leaving the scene of an accident
Misdemeanor?
without giving information over $50 damage.
Did the out-of-county agree to a bond, or?
We don't know, right? I'm sorry. Oh, they did? Okay, so we're good. I'll do bond at 500 then.
What's the bond on those, Your Honor?
500.
500 on each? Okay,
Is it? Say again?
thank you. You got a bond on both?
Right. The VOP has no bond.
Oh, what? No bond on the vehicle.
There's two cases. There's a VOP for a grand theft over $300. That's no bond. But then there's the failure to appear for the property damage, and that bond is $500.
Okay. Your Honor, is this one of those cases that we would reset to have the out-of-county judge say if they would allow a bond because we're not transporting people?
Yes, this is Polk County, so you could ask that judge if they would set a bond.
Yeah, could we get it reset so we could maybe get a bond from that Polk County judge?
What are they doing here? Are they contacting the judge and then setting it, or are they just giving a date ahead of time?
Was that for me? I think that the clerks have been contacting the other clerks.
Well, this would go to Osceola because I don't think the Orange County clerk would contact the Osceola County clerk. I'll just ask defense to get with the Osceola County clerk.
The office look into it too, because we are we're assigning attorneys to these out-of-county cases and trying to get them sorted out too. So if we could have it reset, I think someone's gonna work on something, I hope.
There's not a date that we can give you because we don't have those dates. I would just say contact the Osceola County Clerk and the PD and try to get a date from there.
Okay, thank you, Your Honor.
Okay. All right, next up is Jocelyn Soto. After that is going to be Willie Troutman. Go ahead and state your name for the record, please.
Jocelyn Soto.
I'm going to go ahead and appoint the Public Defender's Office to represent you. Go ahead and state your name for the record, defense.
Ben Houston King, Public Defender's Office for Defense.
Who's the state?
Jeff Russell State.
What says defense?
Your Honor, PTR has told me that she does qualify for direct PTR in these charges. We'd ask for ROR due to the nature of them.
What says the state?
Leaving the court's discretion.
I'll do PTR.
Thank you.
We've got Willie Troutman next. After that is Mr. Ortiz Rosado. Go ahead and state your name for the record.
Willie Troutman.
I'll go ahead and appoint the Public Defender's Office to represent you. Who's counsel for defense?
Ben Houston King, Public Defender's Office for Defense.
Who's the state?
Jeff Russell State.
What says defense? This is an out-of-county warrant for Lee County.
Yes. Could we get this reset if there's no bond on it, Your Honor?
Yeah, there's no bond.
Okay.
So I would just ask that you contact Public Defender's Office and the Clerk's Office in Osceola County to get a reset date.
Okay, thank you.
Next up, Mr. Ortiz Rosado. After that is Mike Ramos. Go ahead and state your name for the record, please.
Elimelech Ortiz Rosado.
I'm going to go ahead and appoint the Public Defender's Office to represent you. Go ahead and state your name for the defense.
Ben Houston King, Public Defender's Office for the Defense.
Who's here for the state?
Jeff Russell State.
What says defense?
Again, this is another one of those out-of-county bulk warrants. If there's no bond, could we get it reset like we've been doing for the other ones?
Yep, there's no bond. So I would just ask if you contact the Clerk's Office and the PD so they can get it reset.
Thank you.
Finally, last one for Osceola is Mike Ramos.
He's still in the hospital, Your Honor. I got the amended charging affidavit where they changed it to attempted purchase of heroin, so we don't have a probable cause argument anymore.
What says the state?
They would ask you set bond on count 2. I think you've already set bond on count 1 and 3.
Okay, I'll set I'll find probable cause in regards to the amended, and I'll set bond amount of 1,000 for count 2.
Thank you. That's all, Your Honor.
All right, thank you. Have a good morning. We're going to switch over to Orange now, and we'll do the private case first. Who do you represent?
Judge, good morning. I have Darius Moore, but I believe the victim's downstairs, Judge, so I don't know.
Is there anyone to bring her up? Can we bring the victim up so that she can speak?
Do you know what the victim's name is in that case?
Stewart, Carrie Stewart.
How do I switch over to Orange?